The cafeteria was packed with its usual everyday crowd. Meanwhile, our protagonist Gavin lay face down. His best friend spotted him completely knocked out and rushed over, trying to wake him for a hot meal. Suddenly, the delicious smell of food hit him. Gavin woke up and started furiously grabbing everything. The other patrons completely froze in shock. Gavin simply could not believe he actually reincarnated. His buddy thought he was losing his mind, but our MC kept rambling about dying of starvation during an ice apocalypse. Gavin was just incredibly relieved that his loyal buddy Yananiel was alive. Seeing the actual date, he realized time was ticking. In just 15 days, this cozy world would turn into a frozen hell, where minus 50 degrees becomes the absolute norm. Yananiel still totally doubted Gavin's crazy story, but Gavin desperately begged for his help. Now watch closely. They suddenly spot Xenia, his trash ex-girlfriend, casually walking in with her new guy. Turns out, Gavin totally protected her during the apocalypse, treating her like royalty, while he literally starved to death. But her response, pure betrayal. Yeah, even his past death was totally her fault. Seeking sweet payback, our boy instantly punched the boyfriend. Surviving the apocalypse taught him some solid fighting skills. Completely ignoring his toxic ex, Gavin decided to just walk away with his loyal companion, Yananiel. His ultimate goal right now: secure massive funds to hoard supplies and get a huge head start before doomsday. Yananiel excitedly asks when his buddy got so ridiculously strong. Xenia absolutely rages, screaming that Gavin will regret hurting Zach. She demands he kneel and apologize immediately, or she will never ever forgive him. Gavin just slaps Xenia too, asking who she thinks she is. Furious, Zach roars he will crush Gavin like a bug. Gavin instantly kicks Zach again, making him literally cough up blood mid-attack. As Zach collapses, Gavin swiftly snatches a small spray bottle from his pocket. Smirking, Gavin says he knew he would find it while Zach utterly panics. Zach desperately lunges right at him, screaming to give it back. Gavin taunts him, asking how many girls he ruined with this. Denying everything, Zach desperately lunges. Boom, Gavin sprays it directly into Zach's face, and the dude realizes in absolute horror. Overwhelmed, Zach howls in agony. Xenia panics, totally confused. With wild eyes, Zach screams at her to stay away while she nervously asks what is wrong. A close-up shows Zach's pupils shrinking like crazy as the powerful aphrodisiac fully hits. Losing his mind, Zach violently pounces on Xenia. In pure frenzy, he literally rips her dress open. Xenia panics, screaming that they are in public. Zach keeps tearing her clothes while she desperately screams. You saw that too, right? Absolute chaos. Meanwhile, Gavin calmly tells Yananiel their 5 minutes are up. While Yananiel wonders what the heck is happening, Gavin explains that spray was a heavy aphrodisiac. Zach used it on tons of girls, causing total tragedies. Gavin is literally just giving him a taste of his own medicine. Yananiel freaks out about the police, but Gavin smirks. Zach would never dare expose his own dirty crimes, especially with multiple victims. Gavin adds that his pride as the vast Dragon Group heir means he will definitely seek personal revenge instead. Yananiel agrees he will probably just attack in private. Leaving the cafeteria, he asks where they are heading. Smiling, Gavin says they are selling his house. The scene shifts straight to Love Your Home Realty Agency. Yananiel heavily protests, shouting that this is the only house his parents left him, but Gavin firmly signs the papers to sell it anyway. Gavin happily looks at the $3.1 million in cash. He knows he absolutely must hoard supplies before the ice apocalypse hits to gain an advantage. The realtor notes that housing prices are rising, and questions the rush but finishes the deal anyway. Gavin drags Yananiel outside, declaring they are off to the next stop. When Yananiel asks what is next, Gavin happily replies they are spending cash. Hitting a massive supermarket, Gavin instantly orders 1,000 units each of rice, flour, and cooking oil. He even orders 10,000 cans of every single food variety. A completely shocked clerk asks if he is sure. Gavin confidently nods while Yananiel jokes that his buddy is basically buying an entire supermarket. Gavin asks about delivery for the massive haul, and the clerk promises they will handle shipping and unloading. Gavin suddenly asks Yananiel about his family's empty suburban warehouse, clearly planning to stash everything right there. Trust me, you and I want his confidence. He casually asks to borrow Yananiel's warehouse address for massive doomsday supplies. Stick with me here, we're diving straight into some hilarious revenge. Two classmates spot Gavin gossiping about his ex and wondering why he's at this VIP supermarket. Well, Gavin casually orders multiple Alienware PCs plus a bunch of TVs and gaming consoles. His logic: when the frozen apocalypse hits, he'll be trapped indoors and will definitely need top-tier entertainment. The clerk happily declares him their biggest client all year, leaving those two girls absolutely stunned. They do the math. The electronics alone cost hundreds of thousands. How on earth can Gavin afford this? Gavin enthusiastically tells the cashier to pack every appliance and down jacket in stock. One girl completely flips, realizing he just spent over $1 million. He must be secretly filthy rich. Convinced he's a hidden second-generation billionaire, she decides this is the perfect chance to go cozy up to him. Gavin figures his apocalypse shopping is mostly done. Now it's time to focus on something way more important. Suddenly he hears a very familiar feminine voice saying, "It's been a while." Sharon Zeller and Jolene Little stroll up shamelessly flattering his new look. Now, pay attention to these two. In his past life, Sharon and Jolene formed an apocalyptic gang, robbed him blind, and practically froze him to death. Acting all intimate, Sharon invites our unusually quiet Gavin out for a meal. Gavin agrees, telling Daniel to take the purchased goods to the warehouse. He has some unfinished business to handle. Privately, these gold diggers scheme to bleed him dry, plotting to hit an ultra-luxury restaurant. Walking between the two schemers, Gavin cheerfully admits he's starving as they head out. The camera cuts to the ridiculously upscale restaurant they arrive at. Outside, the girls brag about how exclusive this place is, pushing Gavin inside by claiming they only bring special people here. Inside the elegant hall, they ask what he wants. Glancing at the menu, Gavin smoothly notes that everything seems pretty expensive. They immediately insist it isn't expensive at all, happily offering to order the food if he won't. Jolene goes wild, ordering the absolute finest caviar, top-tier Wagyu beef, Antarctic lobster, and more. After completely gorging herself, a pleasantly stuffed Sharon brags about how amazing the extravagant meal was. She asks Gavin how his food was. He politely calls it delicious, saying he needs a moment and heads straight to the cashier. The cashier drops the total $18,800, asking how he'll pay. "I know what you're thinking, payback time, oh yeah." Instead, he orders 100 identical meals for pickup in 10 days. The stunned cashier asks if he's serious. Gavin just smiles, handing over his card and offering to pay in full up front. His master plan, eating these feasts during the apocalypse instead of canned beans. He's totally confident he'll figure out preservation within 10 days. Meanwhile, Sharon and Jolene happily assume Gavin is paying the bill already, plotting to make him buy them designer bags next. The cashier hands back his card, confirming the 100-table order, and then asks about their current meal. Gavin casually tells her to make Sharon and Jolene pay for today's food themselves. Strolling away, Gavin realizes his house money is almost gone, deciding to hit up online loan apps for more cash. He opens a shady lending app named XX Loan on his phone. Later, Gavin strolls happily, having scammed $2.7 million from 36 different loan apps. As he plans for more, his phone rings. It's Sharon. Back inside the restaurant, a furious Sharon demands to know exactly where he went. Gavin cheerfully replies something came up and he's going home. Smirking, he asks why he should be the one footing their expensive bill. Sharon screams that since he invited them, he is obviously supposed to pay. Gavin quickly reminds her they dragged him inside and ordered everything themselves. This has absolutely nothing to do with him. Furious Sharon asks how he can even call himself a man, expecting him to cover that insanely expensive table. Gavin just laughs, pointing out he warned them about the prices. They insisted on the premium dishes so they can eat the consequences too. Sharon rants to the staff that Gavin's just a broke loser, refusing to pay. Over the phone, Gavin tells her to ask the cashier about his massive 100-table order, which the staff quickly confirms. Realizing he's actually loaded, Sharon instantly changes her tune, anxiously, begging him to come back and pay. Gavin simply hangs up, declaring he won't waste a dime on rotten idiots like them. Absolute panic hits Sharon and Jolene. They can't afford this, and the cashier coldly states, "This high-end restaurant doesn't let people run a tab, so what do you and I learn? Don't mess with Gavin." Furious, she vows to call Hunter for payback tonight. Gavin stands outside a lottery office, quietly planning his next big move. You and I are about to watch the ultimate regression glow up. Gavin uses his past life memory of winning lottery numbers to fund his master plan. He grabs a ticket with those exact numbers. Smiling confidently, Gavin knows he just has to wait 2 days for the massive payout. Gavin heads back to Yananiel, shouting that he has finally returned. Yananiel whines about working and eating cheap noodles while Gavin goofed off. Gavin just smirks, promising an exciting night out to make up for it. Inside a massive warehouse, Yananiel is totally confused. Why on earth is Gavin dropping huge cash on endless supplies? Gavin calmly explains the truth. When the frozen apocalypse hits, these basic supplies will become lifesavers and food will absolutely control the desperate masses. He tells his friend to trust him. Yananiel thinks Gavin looks sane enough, but this whole end-of-the-world talk hard to swallow. Gavin just smiles calmly, saying that in a few days, Yananiel will realize he was telling the absolute truth. Suddenly, 2 sketchy thugs walk up asking for Gavin Clark. Gavin casually confirms and asks if Hunter Walsh sent them as his attack dogs. The bald leader steps up, threatening the broke student for daring to flirt with Hunter's girl. Sweating nervously, Yananiel warns the thugs he will call the police if they try anything. The bald guy just laughs at the threat, promising to snap Yananiel's legs first if he reaches for his phone. Gavin steps in, saying there is zero need for the cops. The goons mock him as a coward, grinning as they raise their clubs, glad they will avoid arrest. Panicking Yananiel flexes his rich dad's company, Parker Building Materials, and desperately begs them to let his buddy go. The thug suddenly acts polite, promising not to touch the young Master Parker. But Gavin he is still getting a massive beatdown. Yananiel screams for Gavin to run away bravely, offering to hold the brutal attackers back himself. Now pay attention here. The bald thug shoves Yananiel aside and charges, aiming to crack Gavin's skull for crossing Hunter. Yananiel screams in pure panic. Gavin effortlessly dodges the wild swing. To him, this guy is painfully slow and obviously untrained. Boom. Gavin counters with a brutal kick, sending the bald thug flying back and instantly disarming him. Bleeding and furious, the leader curses the brat while struggling to get up, but Gavin snatches the dropped bat and smashes it into the guy's face. Teeth violently scatter everywhere from the brutal impact. Seeing their boss completely wrecked, the remaining gang members suddenly realize just how terrifying Gavin actually is. Smiling coldly, Gavin confidently dares them all to attack him together. The gang roars, charging in to kill him. But Gavin happily swings his bat, knocking multiple attackers down. Honestly, he is finding this incredibly exhilarating. Jaw on the floor, Yananiel cannot believe his nerdy buddy is actually destroying 6 grown men collably solo. As the thugs groan in pain on the ground, Gavin asks if they are done and they immediately surrender. Gavin casually demands 100,000 from each of them. The blonde thug is absolutely stunned, loudly protesting this reverse robbery. Smack. Gavin answers the complaint with another brutal bat strike, making the blonde guy scream in absolute agony. Staring coldly, Gavin explains that a simple beating is not enough. Pay up right now, or every single one of them gets their legs snapped. Gavin checks his phone and smirks. 600,000 has been successfully transferred directly to him. You and I both know surviving an apocalypse changes a man. Guys like Hunter did horrible things back then, so Gavin being totally ruthless now, completely justified. Snapping back to reality, Gavin turns to Yananiel, promising to take him somewhere genuinely exciting this time. At a flashy club, dancers in revealing outfits are performing on the stage. Inside, Yananiel is thrilled. He loves this kind of place, and just wants to relax after almost getting murdered earlier. Gavin tells the bartender he has a delivery for her boss, Mr. Jacobs. Soon the boys walk down a dark hallway, lined with stern-suited bodyguards wearing sunglasses. Dizzy with pure fear, Yananiel hisses, asking if this mafia vibe is Gavin's idea of true excitement. Gavin calmly asks if it is exciting enough. Yananiel admits his heart is pounding crazy fast in total panic. He demands to know where they are. Then the bodyguards respectfully announce Mr. Lowe's arrival, while Gavin and Yananiel stand trapped between them. Mr. Lowe appears, asking about the delivery, but suspiciously notes he has never seen Gavin around here before. Gavin calmly replies this is their first meeting, and he only came because he heard Mr. Lowe was receiving goods. Very suspicious, Mr. Lowe points out. They are completely empty-handed. Where are the items? Gavin just smirks, replying the goods are inside their own bodies. This highly amuses Mr. Lowe, who finds it genuinely interesting that someone would actually just deliver themselves. Mr. Lowe orders his armed goons to grab them. Surrounded by guns, Yananiel desperately begs them to stop crying about his wealthy dad again. Absolutely terrified, Yananiel frantically asks Gavin what is happening and exactly what kind of insane goods he is selling. Gavin calmly explains the truth. Mr. Lowe traffics human organs, meaning their own organs are the actual goods. Yananiel freaks out over the organs. Honestly, you and I would absolutely panic too. Trust me, stick around. Stick with me here. Gavin challenges Mr. Lowe, asking if this infamous buyer actually has the guts to buy their goods. Gavin offers his entire body of organs for 10 million, but Mr. Lowe counters with 5 million, claiming a recent crackdown tanked the market prices. Gavin agrees, but with a catch. Mr. Lowe must pay up front, and Gavin will deliver his body in exactly 3 days. Warning him not to run, Mr. Lowe orders his men to make Gavin and Yananiel sign strict indenture contracts right away. Gavin totally insists they need 2 contracts, loudly demanding one for poor Yananiel too. Yananiel panics, yelling he does not want to sell. But Gavin talks over him, telling the mobsters his frantic friend is absolutely selling too. A thug jams a gun against Yananiel's head, completely forcing him to sign the contract. Outside, Yananiel furiously accuses Gavin of literally selling him out after promising a fun, exciting trip. Gavin completely brushes off the drama and casually suggests going somewhere else. Yananiel is totally panicking over Mr. Lowe's brutal reputation, terrified they will be slaughtered in 3 days. Gavin explains that Mr. Lowe has trafficked endless organs and ruined lives, then coldly predicts the boss will be dead in 3 days. Now pay close attention. Yananiel thinks Gavin is fighting the mob, but Gavin actually says he will prove the apocalypse is totally real. At a super fancy luxury complex, an agent asks Gavin if he only wants that specific villa. Gavin completely confirms he only wants that exact one. Yananiel is super confused about why they are suddenly renting houses. Gavin calmly replies that something incredibly valuable is hidden inside. He remembers that in his past life this place held endless supplies and a rare apocalypse survival bunker attracting desperate crowds. It was where he eventually died amid horrific chaos. Now, resolute Gavin decides his brand new life will begin exactly where it ended. The agent insists the owner is absolutely not renting it out, but Gavin casually offers to pay double the normal monthly rent. She explains the owner does not need money. Gavin instantly raises it to 5 times the rent, even as she says cash will not work. So Gavin just offers 10 times the rent, promising to pay the first month right now. Dreaming of that massive commission, the excited agent totally promises to persuade the owner to rent it to him, no matter what. Gavin adds one condition: he wants to completely renovate everything. The agent quickly agrees since the place is just an empty shell anyway. Nearby, an annoying middle-aged woman is loudly urging her daughter Xenia. She tells her to grab an opportunity with Zach Young to completely secure her mother's future. Gavin instantly recognizes Xenia Scott, telling Yananiel she is here because Zach owns a place nearby. Suddenly, Xenia turns and spots Gavin standing there. Xenia furiously accuses Gavin of stalking her, snapping that she has not even settled the score with him over what happened last time. Her snooty mother calls Gavin a poor lower-class student, declaring Xenia would never date a broke loser no matter how far he stalks them. You and I know they are delusional. Gavin laughs, asking who is stalking whom. The angry mother threatens to report his rude attitude to his school and the cops. Gavin sarcastically says she should just give him the death penalty, asking what him renting a house has to do with them. Xenia harshly mocks his poverty, claiming he definitely cannot afford a luxury villa that costs at least $20,000 a month. Right on cue, the agent returns happily, announcing the base rent is exactly $25,000 a month. Xenia's mother is completely shocked that this supposedly poor kid is actually renting a place here. Xenia stubbornly insists Gavin only rented the expensive place just to get close to her, demanding he give up because it will never work. Yananiel calls Xenia a completely delusional princess, and both guys laugh at how utterly insane her attitude is. Xenia's mom dismissively snorts that even dropping $25,000 a month does not make Gavin a proper suitor before proudly dragging her daughter away. The agent politely reminds Gavin about the 10 times multiplier, meaning the first month totals $250,000 upfront. He casually agrees to pay now. Overhearing that insane tenfold rent, the two women literally gasp in disbelief. They figure Gavin is just bluffing, since they simply cannot imagine him holding that much cash. Gavin just flashes his phone. $250,000. Transferred. The stunned agent hands over the keys, giving him full renovation rights as Gavin cheerfully walks off with Yananiel. Outside, the mother nervously wonders if they totally misjudged Gavin's real background after seeing that payment. Xenia angrily insists it is impossible since he is just an orphan, fully vowing to investigate. Later on, Gavin asks Yananiel to help contact the boss of Heaven's Rainbow Decor. They are the city's largest renovation crew, and Yananiel's family knows them. Gavin wants his dad to set up an urgent meeting for the villa. Yananiel is stunned. And trust me, you are going to want to see what wild renovations happen next. Stick with me, you and I are about to watch Gavin tell Yananiel to stop asking questions and just book it. Yananiel reports his dad pulled some major strings. Because of that, the top boss literally dropped everything to meet Gavin personally. Gavin praises those epic connections, jokingly promising to pay his dad back with a whole truck full of instant noodles. Yananiel just dies inside, but Gavin smirks. Oh, his dad will be begging for those noodles soon enough. At the lobby, the receptionist tells the guys to wait. And guess who walks in right then? Xenia and her mom. They are super hyped that Zach is footing their fancy renovation bill here. Xenia spots Gavin's crew hanging at the front desk and overhears the staff asking if they even have a booking. She instantly accuses Gavin of stalking her all the way here, snapping that his pathetic creeping will never win her back. Gavin just sighs to Yananiel about running into these complete idiots. Yananiel casually drops that Gavin is here to renovate too. Xenia scoffs. Like renovating what? The guy owns absolutely nothing. Ignoring her completely, Gavin tells the receptionist he is Gavin Clark and has an appointment. She politely asks him to wait. Watching this, Xenia and her mom totally roll their eyes, convinced Gavin is broke and just faking it to look rich. Right then, Mr. Xiao, the CEO himself, walks out asking for his VIP client. The receptionist points straight at Gavin, who happens to have Xenia and her mom right beside him. The mom absolutely loses her mind, thinking Zach Young's money brought the big boss down personally. Here is where you and I need to watch closely. She smugly brags that the boss greeting her proves her higher status while Gavin waits. Xenia happily greets Mr. Xiao like royalty. He just blinks totally confused and asks if she is the one with the appointment. She proudly says yes, but then Mr. Xiao asks, "Are you Gavin Clark?" Xenia completely freezes, awkwardly mumbling that her name is actually Xenia Scott. Mr. Xiao immediately tells her to step aside if she is not Gavin Clark stopping her nonsense. Gavin steps right up, properly introducing himself as Gavin Clark to the very eager boss. Surprised by his youth, Mr. Xiao immediately invites him inside to talk. Left outside, Xenia and her mom are fuming angrily, convincing themselves that Yananiel's rich dad must have set this up for Gavin. A sign shows they are in the manager's office. Inside, Mr. Xiao warmly asks what kind of renovation Gavin actually needs. Gavin calmly explains he needs to upgrade a whole villa. Mr. Xiao chuckles, saying a villa is pretty small scale. He offers to just let his design director handle the basic details. But Gavin insists the boss handle it personally. Mr. Xiao politely declines, explaining he is way too busy for anything but major projects. Gavin leans in. Oh, this is a major project. Curious, Mr. Xiao asks for his budget. I know what you are thinking, Gavin casually states, a 30 million budget, deeply intriguing Mr. Xiao. The guy is completely floored. 30 million for a renovation. Sweating, Mr. Xiao double-checks if he meant 3 million instead of 30. Nope. Gavin calmly confirms it really is 30 million cash. Suddenly, the design director walks in, but Mr. Xiao aggressively waves him away, shouting that he is handling this massive project personally. Still shaking, the boss mentions that kind of cash could buy a new villa. What is Gavin building? Gavin slides over his detailed blueprints and tells Mr. Xiao to look. Mr. Xiao reads them and his jaw drops. Gavin is literally designing a heavily fortified military bunker. Gavin says he can increase the budget if needed, but insists only this specific company can finish his crazy fortress within half a month. Mr. Xiao nervously reads the specs. Independent water lines, extreme cold AC, crazy air filtration, and thick steel plates. It is a literal war bunker. He jokes it looks like apocalypse prep. Gavin stares right at him and says treat it exactly like that. He drops 20 million up front, 5 million when done, and the final payment 3 days after the insane build is completely finished. Tempted by the insane payout, Mr. Xiao agrees enthusiastically, promising to use every single company resource to build this safe house fast. Walking out, Yananiel is screaming. Spending 35 million on a rented villa is pure madness. Gavin just smirks, saying money will be useless soon, telling Yananiel to get his dad prepped too. Yananiel aggressively demands to know where he got that cash. So, what do you and I take from this? Gavin admits borrowing 10 million from loan sharks, joking the apocalypse better happen or he is ruined. Let's dive into the drama. Xenia strides up, assuming Gavin is just flexing for her attention, asking what he spent on renovations. Gavin rolls his eyes. Like he cares about her, he totally brushes off her ridiculous idea that he is trying to impress her. Then her mom steps in, bragging that Xenia dropped a whole million on her place. She mocks him, flaunting what she thinks is real money. But Yananiel claps back. He reveals Gavin spent 35 million, making their single million look like absolute joke money. Xenia bursts out laughing. 35 million. She calls it pure garbage, accusing them of just making up ridiculous numbers. Gavin just smirks. He looks right at her and asks if she will call him daddy if he actually spent that much. She is not buying it. Xenia claims she did her homework and knows he only sold one cheap house for maybe 3 million tops. She accuses him of faking his wealth, warning he will go completely broke. The mom totally takes the bait. She smugly promises to call him her dad if he really dropped $35 million. Gavin starts walking away, but a staff girl suddenly shouts for him he left his contract behind. Here is the part you and I need to watch closely. The mom snatches the paperwork to expose him, but seeing those numbers, her smug face turns to pure absolute horror. Xenia grins, asking if the number is pathetically small. She still fully thinks Gavin is completely broke. Sweating bullets, the mom stammers that it really says 35 million. She completely loses it, screaming that the paper has to be totally fake because there is no way Gavin has that kind of cash. Yananiel steps up, shutting her down. He confirms the boss signed it himself and warns her she could get sued for running her mouth. Gavin casually brings up their little bet, demanding she call him daddy right now. She explodes in rage, so Gavin just straight up slaps her away. While Xenia catches her stunned mom, Yananiel laughs about how incredibly satisfying that slap was, telling Gavin they should head out. The red-haired Xenia screams that she will get payback for this massive humiliation. Later night finally drops over Gavin's high-end neighborhood. Back home, his chubby buddy asks why they even came back here. Gavin casually states his next move, making everyone believe the end of the world is coming. Trailing behind him upstairs, Yananiel mutters that Gavin has been acting so crazy lately, either the apocalypse is actually real or he just lost his mind. Standing outside later, his buddy whines about freezing to death in the middle of summer, waiting 2 whole hours for literally nothing. We are about to witness the biggest turning point. Gavin checks his phone. A golden meteor rips through the sky and he smiles, it is finally here. Shivering in the cold, Yananiel just sees a shooting star, totally clueless about what Gavin is actually waiting for. Gavin drops the lore, the real apocalypse is half a month out, but the weird weather and crazy meteor showers, the warning signs are officially here. Suddenly, Yananiel freaks out. One of those massive meteors is heading right straight for them. Gavin remembers everything. These meteors actually give superpowers. This exact neighborhood became a major survivor base later because so many people got awakened right here. In his past life, this specific golden rock crashed into an empty house and some random thief grabbed the power first. Not this time. Yananiel is absolutely terrified. He screams that the giant space rock is going to crush them and begs Gavin to run away. But Gavin, he literally jumps right towards the falling meteor, ready to claim that power. His buddy screams that he is basically committing suicide. Boom, the meteor crashes down, totally, swallowing Gavin in a massive explosion of light. Staring at the massive crater, the chubby friend is completely sure Gavin just got flattened into pancakes. Nope, Gavin steps out glowing with golden energy. He just scored a broken skill that multiplies his physical stats by 5, perfect for the early game. Standing in that epic aura, Gavin asks if his friend finally believes him. Yananiel's jaw drops, the guy is actually alive. Gavin smirks, explaining he just survived the impact and unlocked a power that makes him an absolute beast. Still doubting, Yananiel squints. He says Gavin looks exactly the same, asking how he is stronger. Gavin does not even answer. He just grabs Yananiel by the shoulder and effortlessly hoists him into the air with a single arm. Dangling him there, Gavin asks if he believes it now. Yananiel is completely stunned. He weighs over 200 pounds. Okay, point proven, he is strong. Then Gavin dangles the panicked Yananiel straight over the high balcony. With a crazy smile, Gavin tells him to hold on. He leaps straight off the 10-meter drop, still holding his buddy, while Yananiel screams at him. Bam! They hit the ground hard, but somehow, 0 damage. Yananiel opens his eyes, totally shocked to find he is standing there perfectly fine. Gavin asks again if he believes him now. Shaking frantically, Yananiel nods, fast admitting surviving that insane drop is totally solid proof. Meanwhile, across town, Zinnia's mom notices her daughter glued to the window and asks what is up. Zinnia points out a shooting star that just crashed near Gavin's place. With pure spite, she mutters that she hopes the rock squashed him flat. She then smirks, telling her mom not to worry. Zach Young is coming back, and he is definitely going to make Gavin pay for today. The doorbell rings. You and I both know exactly who that is. The mom eagerly greets Zach, and he immediately asks where Xenia went. Let's dive into this wild manhwa where things get crazy fast. Xenia happily calls Zach inside, and he playfully slaps her, rushing her to shower because he has been waiting for days. Xenia's mother awkwardly points out she is still standing there. Zach just rudely orders her to boil some water and get out. But Xenia stops his rush, dropping some massive news. Gavin just moved right into their exact neighborhood. Zach absolutely loses it, furious that Gavin dares to show his face around him. Her mom claims Gavin only rented that villa to stalk Xenia, begging Zach to kick him out. Zach swears to call his backup right now and make Gavin regret breathing his air. Grabbing his phone, Zach calls up Bao and introduces himself. Cut straight to the boxing gym. Inside the ring, the crowd is hyping Bao up, pushing him to go for another brutal round. Zach tells him he will pay $200,000 to crush somebody. Bao takes the cash job, guaranteeing the target is handled in 2 hours. Bao tells his current opponent he has real work to do, so he is ending this fast. The underground champion loses his mind, completely offended. A rookie is mocking him. But Bao just throws one single devastating punch that instantly knocks him out cold. The whole crowd is shocked. A supposed rookie just one-shot the underground champ, and they instantly hail him as the new rising boxing king. Back over at the villa, Gavin stares outside, noting this weird weather looks exactly like an early Ice Age apocalypse. Inside, Yaniel stresses over humanity's dark fate. Meanwhile, Gavin casually asks if he figured out his next move. Yaniel swears to follow whatever master plan Gavin has. Gavin simply tells him to go home first and convince his dad to sell off everything. Yaniel sighs, saying his dad has huge assets but would definitely think his son went insane before believing in apocalypse. Gavin makes it clear, in 2 weeks cash is useless paper. Only supplies matter now, so being a billionaire will not save anyone. Filled with resolve, Yaniel decides to risk his dad's anger and bankrupt his entire family. But Gavin suddenly senses a shift. He goes on high alert, hushing Yaniel because something is wrong. Pay attention here, things are about to pop off. Gavin realizes thugs surrounded the villa. Outside, Bao orders his men to just smash the front door down. One eager thug steps up, charging the front entrance with a massive sledgehammer. He grins like a maniac, raising that hammer high while Bao watches. Then boom, the thug gets violently blasted backward just from the door opening. Gavin steps out with Yaniel super calm, asking who they are. Bao is genuinely shocked, he sensed them. He asks if Gavin is a trained fighter too, but Gavin instantly recognizes him, calling him Duan Hubiao. Bao freezes, stunned this guy knows his name. Gavin remembers that in the future, Bao becomes a massively powerful ability user fully covered in fiery energy. You and I need to remember him. Bao actually gains abilities after the apocalypse, and surprisingly, he keeps his human conscience. Bao admits Zach sent him to crush Gavin, offering a light beating that will only leave him stuck in bed for 6 months. Gavin just smiles. He says he will go easy on Bao too and tells him to leave. Totally triggered, Bao charges forward to see where Gavin gets this insane confidence. Gavin dodges, effortlessly mocking Bao for being too slow. Impressed by those crazy reflexes, Bao launches another attack, craving a real fight. But Gavin counters with one blur of a strike, sending Bao flying. His men are completely stunned. Their boss, the new champion, got knocked down. Struggling back up, Bao complains Gavin is totally abnormal. Gavin just calmly asks if he yields. Bao stubbornly spits back that absolutely nobody can make him submit. So Gavin delivers a brutal kick straight to his chest, launching Bao into the air. He hits the dirt, and Gavin asks how that feels. Bao admits he was powerless but still refuses to bow down. Gavin smirks, saying it would be boring if he gave up easily. Then he drops a bomb offering to save Bao's sister for a favor. Shocked that Gavin knows his sister is sick, Bao frantically demands answers. A quick flashback shows Bao looking super depressed over his sister in her hospital bed. Gavin casually explains he knows about her terminal illness and that Bao literally risks his life in underground rings just to pay her medical bills. Desperate now, Bao asks if Gavin can actually save his little sister. Gavin declares he is literally the only person alive who can cure her, leaving the choice entirely up to Bao if he wants to trust him. Convinced by his raw strength, Bao agrees and asks what the job is. Gavin orders him to completely wreck Zach Young, leave him bedridden for weeks, and extort every single penny. Bao quietly considers this order for a second. Then he rallies his crew, commanding them to follow. When his guys ask if he actually believes, Gavin Bao says he has zero choice. He has to grab onto any hope to save his sister. Meanwhile, Zach completely assumes Gavin is already hospitalized, deciding it is the perfect time to start his plans. In the bedroom, Zach and Xenia are busy playing around with Xenia, playfully calling him terrible. So what do we learn here? Karma is fast, loud banging interrupts them, and Xenia's mom goes to check who is ruining the mood. Let's dive right in. She opens the door, finds Bao's gang, and demands their identities. Bao just violently shoves past her, telling her to move. She completely loses it, screaming at him for daring to intrude. His answer, a brutal slap to the face, telling her to scram. Walking in, Bao greets Zach, asking if the job is done. Zach totally assumes they succeeded. He smugly starts bringing up his 200,000 payment. Bao punches Zach straight in the face, sending his phone flying. Xenia panics while a shocked Zach screams at him. Bao just orders his goons to attack. They brutally stomp Zach into the floor. Getting absolutely beaten down, Zach tries threatening Bao with his family's power, begging and promising endless cash if they stop. Bao finally calls a timeout. A bruised but arrogant Zach sneers, totally thinking Bao got scared, claiming that hitting him was a massive mistake. Nope, Bao just relays Gavin's actual orders: hang the guy upside down and keep beating him. Now pay close attention here. Horrified, Zach calls him insane. Getting dragged away, he suddenly realizes Big Bro Clark is actually Gavin and demands answers. Hanging upside down like a bat, Zach cries that his personal limit is 10 million. Anything more needs his family's approval. Bao coldly orders him to transfer that 10 million immediately. Later, Yananil gets a text. He tells Gavin their counselor just announced a big practical training outing for tomorrow, asking if he wants to tag along. Gavin instantly says no. But when Yananil mentions it's near northern New City, his eyes immediately light up. He decides to go since he needed to scout that exact area anyway. Suddenly his phone starts ringing. It's Bao. He reports extorting that 10 million from Zach and transferring it over. Gavin checks his account and confirms the cash dropped. Gavin hits up a lottery betting station. He remembers his old ticket. Winning the jackpot would seriously fund all his doomsday supply shopping. He checks the results and freezes. The winning numbers from his past life are completely different now. A butterfly effect, highly unlikely. He figures out that this mysterious director guy must be making moves ahead of him, messing up the timeline. Shrugging off the loss, Gavin realizes he desperately needs another way to make some huge cash. Next morning, students gather by the training bus, complaining about the early start and praying for good internship spots. Two girls furiously confront Gavin by the bus, screaming that he actually has the nerve to show his face. Gavin calmly asks why he wouldn't. They demand answers for his epic 20,000 dine and dash. They insist he pays up, or they'll be stuck working a whole month to cover it. Gavin bluntly asks what their massive debt has to do with him. The girl in green instantly plays cute, begging him to pay, and promising they'll do literally anything. The purple-haired girl flirtatiously hints that if he drops 20 grand, they totally won't be going back to their dorm tonight. Smiling, Gavin agrees, but asks them to lend him 40 grand first. I know you saw that coming. Realizing they've been played, the girls furiously storm off. Yananil runs up, shouting Gavin's name. Gavin spots Yananil's incredibly puffy eyes and asks what happened. Turns out he tried warning his dad about the coming apocalypse by aggressively crying. Gavin cheerfully asks if his dramatic crying strategy actually worked. Nope, his dad ignored him for hours, then beat him with a stick which made him cry for real. Gavin laughs and comforts him, saying his dad just needs time to process the apocalypse too. Suddenly, Counselor Chi yells for everyone to board the bus. The whole class, including Daniel and Gavin, ride the bus toward their destination. On board, Daniel is dying of thirst from salty snacks and begs Gavin for water. Gavin's empty-handed. Sweet classmate Chetsui shyly offers Gavin her water bottle. He smiles, says thanks, then immediately tosses it to a desperate Daniel to drink up. Chetsui gently mentions Gavin's recent breakup with Xenia, genuinely hoping he isn't too heartbroken. Gavin reassures her he's actually thrilled he saw Xenia's true colors. Hearing he got scammed, Chetsui offers him cash, but he kindly refuses since her own family struggles financially. Daniel whispers that Chetsui totally has a crush. Gavin just snaps at him to drink. The counselor loudly announces they've finally arrived at the internship facility. Getting off, Chi tells everyone to line up properly so he can assign their work placements. The students gossip about the 3 internship tiers. Third floor is luxury, while first floor is basically just scrubbing floors and guard duty. The counselor starts reading off the lucky names assigned to the prestigious third floor. Those 2 girls cheer because Hunter scored them third floor spots, worrying about the favor they owe him. Meanwhile, an unaware Chetsui walks past while they glare daggers at her. Those schemers target Chetsui as an easy mark. What do you and I think happens next? Stick with me, you and I are diving into a seriously satisfying payback arc. Gavin and his crew quickly realize something is wrong. They didn't even make the second floor. The shady counselor drops the bomb. Daniel, Gavin, and Chetsui are banished to the bottom-tier first floor. Poor Chetsui immediately panics about learning 0 skills. The classroom snobs start laughing. Sure, the broke kids belong in the basement, but dropping a rich kid like Daniel down there? Total shocker. Gavin is not having it. He steps up, demanding answers from Chi Changdong about this trash placement. Chi Changdong plays the innocent card. He claims the school and company made a fair choice, telling Gavin a real talent shines anywhere. Gavin fires back hard. He warns the guy that if he is lying to his own people right now, he is nothing but a total scumbag. The counselor instantly loses his temper. How dare a student talk back? He immediately threatens Gavin with expulsion. Trying to save face, he points out that even wealthy Daniel is stuck down there with poor Gavin. See, totally fair and balanced. But Daniel explodes, exposing the truth. The shady counselor tried extorting his dad for bribe money to secure a top floor spot. Furious, the counselor calls him a brat. But Daniel just smirks, waving his phone around. He recorded the whole bribery call. Game over. Suddenly, Wang Da jumps in, loudly accusing Gavin's group of going way too far. He actually lectures them for making the counselor mad, claiming they have 0 respect for authority. 2 snake girls chime in to support Wang Da. They say the counselor worked so hard, and losers like Gavin do not deserve internships anyway. Gavin just glares, telling Wang Da to get lost. Big mistake. Wang Da fires back, calling Gavin a pathetic loser who got dumped by Xenia, screaming about respect. You need to watch this closely. Gavin lands a brutal punch. An enraged Wang Da charges right back, screaming for payback. But Gavin casually catches the guy's fist mid-air. Wang Da freezes, completely horrified by Gavin's insane grip strength. Gavin absolutely destroys him with a flurry of hits, telling him again to scram. Bruised and shaking, Wang Da runs, crying to the counselor. Gavin keeps dropping heavy hits, asking if the idiot forgot his warning. Chi Changdong grabs Gavin's shoulder, demanding an apology. Big mistake. Gavin sends the corrupt counselor flying across the room, laughing at his pathetic teacher title. Daniel cheers from the sidelines. Seeing the corrupt counselor get wrecked is just pure satisfaction. The whole class is paralyzed. The quiet kid is actually destroying a staff member. Clutching his bruised face, Chi Changdong screams that Gavin is permanently expelled. Gavin smirks. He literally could not care less. He promises to beat the guy to a pulp if he talks again, landing one final savage hit. With both those losers groaning on the floor, Gavin dusts his hands off and tells Daniel they are out of here. Daniel hesitates, wondering what happens to Chetsui if they bail. Gavin turns around, casually inviting her to join their exit. But those toxic girls whisper to the counselor. They suggest dragging Chetsui up to the 3rd floor with them while he figures out how to ruin Gavin. They immediately swarm Chetsui, sweet-talking her into joining them. They warn that staying near a maniac like Gavin will completely tank her future. Gavin tells Chetsui to just focus on her internship but call him if anything gets weird. She agrees to stay. So what do you and I think they're really planning? Gavin looks at Daniel. Time for the real mission. Cut to a massive logistics park. Gavin explains this giant warehouse controls daily supplies for all the provincial supermarkets. Daniel realizes they are here to hoard supplies. Gavin just gives a confident, knowing grin. But Daniel is sweating. Sure, it is a gold mine, but they can't exactly rob the place, let alone walk through the front door. Spotting a recruitment desk right at the entrance, Gavin gets an idea. He strolls up and politely asks the staff if there are any openings. The staff shuts them down fast. Female workers only. No guys allowed. Gavin and Yananiel stand there completely stumped by this ridiculous rule. Thinking fast, Gavin tells Yananiel to go grab Chuitsu and have her apply instead. Back at the 3rd floor office, things seem normal. But as the counselor walks past, Sharon quietly tells Jolene about a call from Hunter. Mr. Zhang urgently needs a pure girl. The 2 snakes decide to test if naive Chuitsu fits his sick requirement. The 2 predators slither over to Chuitsu's desk, acting super friendly and asking about her work. Totally clueless, Chuitsu smiles brightly. She thanks Sharon and Jolene, saying she has learned so much already. They wave off her thanks, playing the supportive classmate act to hide their evil plan. Then Sharon drops the trap casually, asking if she has ever dated. Blushing, Chuitsu admits she hasn't. Jolene instantly lights up, offering to set her up. Chuitsu politely declines, focusing only on earning money. But they relentlessly push, arguing a wealthy guy pays out way better than any boring office job. She keeps resisting, so they corner her. They aggressively pressure her into just meeting the guy once, promising she can easily refuse later. Time passes, shifting our focus to the massive corporate tower where this twisted meeting will actually go down. They escort a terrified Chuitsu straight to Mr. Jang, ignoring her protests about dating. They literally hand her over as a prize. You and I both know this is bad. Make sure to stick around for what happens next. Stick with me here. Mr. Jang leers at her, praising Hunter for finding a pure girl. Sharon pushes Chuitsu to greet Mr. Jang, dropping the bomb that he is her arranged boyfriend. Total shock. Mr. Jang loves this setup, promising 30,000 yuan to each of these fake friends. Sharon coldly abandons a begging Chuitsu, telling this creep to just enjoy himself. Classic villain move. The heavy door slams shut, completely trapping poor Chuitsu inside his office. This sleazeball propositions her, promising way more cash than her classmates if she just pleases him. Backing away, Chuitsu absolutely refuses and threatens to call the cops. But Mr. Jang just laughs in her face. The security team works for him, so nobody is coming to save her. Desperate, she begs him to just let her work peacefully and please let her go. Bam! He slaps her, knocking the phone straight down. Mr. Jang arrogantly declares no woman ever leaves his office untouched. But that dropped phone, it is already calling Gavin. Outside, Gavin is walking with Yananil when his ringtone suddenly goes off. Seeing Chuitsu on the caller ID, Gavin answers super cheerfully, asking what is going on. Back inside, Mr. Jang ruthlessly stomps on her phone, killing the call. He leers, saying he loves inexperienced girls, urging her to just accept her twisted fate for career success. Chuitsu defiantly screams she would rather die first, grabbing a heavy potted plant to defend herself. Watch closely. Gavin notices the sudden hang-up, instantly knowing Chuitsu is in danger. Convinced she is in real danger, Gavin literally sprints back toward the building. Inside whack, Chuitsu smashes the plant into Mr. Jang, screaming at him to back off. Clutching his bleeding head, he angrily snarls that she really does not know what is good for her. Mr. Jang viciously beats Chuitsu, promising to make her completely suffer. Gavin and Yananil hit the entrance, but a security guard blocks them aggressively, demanding to know their business. Yananil bluffs hard, claiming they are with the young master. The guard looks totally confused. Gavin does not even care, simply shoving the guy aside and barking at him to move. Another guard yells that Chuitsu is up on the 3rd floor, desperately trying to block this fake young master because Mr. Jang gave strict orders. Chasing them, the guard insists Mr. Jang is handling vital business and absolutely cannot be disturbed. Gavin coldly fires back that he is the father of Mr. Jang, so waiting is not happening. The guard is totally bewildered. How is his father so incredibly young? Realizing this is a breach, he starts shouting for backup, screaming about major trouble. He just keeps yelling for backup while running. The elevator display dings, showing Gavin and Yananil heading straight for the 3rd floor. Meanwhile, Sharon and Jolene are literally chatting about Mr. Jang enjoying Chuitsu. They do not notice Gavin approaching behind them. You and I know karma is coming. Stunned, they freeze as Gavin furiously demands where Chuitsu is. The two women try acting evasive, asking why he even cares since he is not an intern. Gavin drops a dark warning. He will ask them just one more time. Sharon gets mad, telling him he cannot just act wild around here, desperately trying to assert her authority. Smack. Gavin silences her with a brutal slap. Horrified, Jolene yells at him for hitting them, so Gavin just instantly slaps her down too. Looming over the trash duo, he repeats his demand. Completely terrified now, they immediately admit Chuitsu is trapped inside the office of Mr. Jang. Sharon tries warning him not to be reckless, bragging that Mr. Jang is super powerful and controls this whole place. Completely ignoring her, Gavin kicks the heavy door wide open. Inside, Chuitsu cries for help while Mr. Jang angrily barks at Gavin to get out. Gavin straight up calls Mr. Jang a bastard, ordering him to release Chuitsu immediately. Mr. Jang blusters, asking if this punk knows who he is dealing with, but Gavin just catches his attacking hand mid-air, completely stunning the arrogant boss. Snap. He calmly breaks his arm, making Mr. Jang scream. Writhing in agony, the sleazeball desperately calls for security backup. Gavin savagely punches him deep in the gut, calling him an absolute animal and telling him to die. Gavin checks on Shisui, who tearfully says she is okay but completely traumatized. Right then, a whole squad of guards bursts inside, demanding to know who is causing trouble. Bleeding Mr. Jang orders his guards to literally beat Gavin and Yananil to death. Sharon and Jolene eagerly cheer, convinced Gavin totally deserves it for hitting them. But cut to moments later, every single guard is laid out cold on the floor. Gavin obliterated everyone. Sharon stares in absolute shock. Every single guard was easily taken down. Cowering on the floor, Mr. Jang begs, asking what more he wants. Gavin coldly vows to make sure he never even thinks of preying on women ever again. Bam! He crushes his groin with a brutal stomp, leaving Mr. Jang bleeding and completely broken. Gavin casually walks away while Mr. Jang lies there screaming in endless agony. Turning his dark, terrifying glare toward Sharon and Jolene, Gavin addresses them ominously. Completely terrified, they beg him not to hit them, desperately reminding him they are women and former classmates. Gavin just beats Jolene anyway, calling out their massive hypocrisy for treating Chisui like garbage, despite being classmates. We love a good karma moment, right? He strikes Sharon, claiming he would have crippled her if she lacked use. Alright, you and I are jumping right in. Leaving Mr. Jang and the women groaning on the floor, Gavin calmly leads his friends away. Sharon fusses over the bruised Mr. Jang, begging to call the cops. Instead, he smacks her. He yells they cannot report this mess, and orders her to rush him to the hospital immediately. Absolutely furious and totally humiliated, Mr. Jang calls Seaway Biotech. He begs them to use their newest experimental weapon to make Gavin disappear for good. Walking away with the guys, the girl shyly says thanks. Gavin just shrugs, says classmates gotta help each other, and asks about her future plans. She sighs. Losing this internship basically ruined her chance at getting a job, leaving her future looking incredibly grim. Gavin instantly offers to hook her up with a job. She happily agrees, so he brings her and his buddy straight to a place that is hiring. Standing outside a dusty warehouse, she looks completely shocked. Gavin just smiles and nods yes. A warehouse manager, not exactly her finance degree plan, but Gavin reassures her that every single job matters and she will totally excel. The tired recruiter impatiently snaps, asking if she wants the job before they finally close. Gavin pushes Chisui to register fast, so she does. After signing the papers, he tells her to work hard and promises they will visit soon. Strolling away, his chubby friend laughs. He jokes that only a clueless top finance student like Chisui would happily accept becoming a security guard. Gavin just smirks, replying that her so-called silliness is exactly why she got lucky. Leaving the huge logistics park behind, Gavin casually says, "It is time to head home. Pay attention here because things get wild." A gun presses to his head. Seeing these armed thugs, Gavin guesses Mr. Lowe sent them. The leader sneers. His 3 days are up. He orders them into the van, saying their bodies will be chopped up for Mr. Lowe. His buddy panics, whispering not to give up. He knows 4 random thugs are absolutely nothing against Gavin's crazy fighting skills. But Gavin smiles. He plays along, whispering that the real show has not even started. The kidnappers drag them to an abandoned warehouse, announcing arrival. Deep inside this creepy suburban factory, his chubby friend nervously points around them. A thug violently shoves Gavin forward with his rifle, barking at him to move. Gavin's eyes flare with deadly focus. Boom, he suddenly disarms an attacker and slams him down with one swift strike. Then bang, he fatally shoots another thug. Gun smoking in the air, Gavin stands perfectly still over the fallen body. The angry survivors scream that he is dead meat. Big mistake. Gavin calmly guns down several more with terrifying precision. His buddy freaks out with excitement, praising his instant kills like a pro sharpshooter. Gavin tosses his buddy a pistol. See, back in his past life during the apocalypse, he had 0 powers, so he relentlessly trained his aim until he became an absolute god-tier marksman. His friend completely panics, yelling that he has no clue how to shoot. Gavin simply asks if he plays shooter games. The guy proudly puffs up, yeah, he is a total pro. Gavin tells him to just pretend it is a video game. Meanwhile, outside a huge container truck arrives with people gathered around cargo. Peeking out, the guys see the truck belongs to Seaway Biotech, a massive global corporation. They both wonder why it is out here. Gavin remembers his past life. Back then, Seaway Biotech became legendary saviors after the apocalypse, literally saving humanity from wiping out. You and I both know the truth, though this company is pure evil. Suddenly, 2 armed guards spot them, shouting demands. Boom, Gavin instantly drops them both with headshots before they can even blink. Checking the bloody ID badge on a body, Gavin confirms it. Yep, Seaway Biotech employees. Nearby, a blonde executive greets Mr. Lowe. She happily praises how fresh his human body parts are, saying Seaway Biotech is extremely satisfied. Mr. Lowe proudly bows, saying he is deeply honored to help. He promises 2 more living specimens are arriving soon to complete their fresh set of 6. Suddenly, spotting Gavin and his chubby buddy walking up, Mr. Lowe recognizes them as his final 2 human deliveries. Smiling greedily, he presents Gavin and his terrified friend to Miss Pei as the last 2 healthy organ donors. But Miss Pei suddenly notices their hands. She demands to know why the captives have guns. Mr. Lowe spins around in pure shock, screaming at them. Gavin wordlessly pulls the trigger, blasting his leg. Howling in absolute agony, Mr. Lowe orders everyone to attack. Gavin steps up and shoots down the Russian gunman with effortless, terrifying accuracy. Miss Pei gasps at his insane precision, while Mr. Lowe frantically screams for backup. Pushing his buddy behind a truck, Gavin promises to handle this, casually dropping attackers as they rush in. Furious and bleeding, Mr. Lowe rants that nobody has ever dared cross him on his own turf. He viciously orders his thugs to crush the intruders and harvest their organs. Dual pistols blazing, Gavin mows them down. The remaining thugs panic at his impossible speed, desperately spraying bullets trying to stop his rampage. A dead gunman drops right at the feet of Miss Pei. So what happens next? Stick with me to find out. You and I are jumping right in. Surrounded by corpses, Lowe and Pei shake, demanding Gavin's motives. Gavin aims his gun, flipping the question back on them, but Mr. Lowe just scoffs. He actually claims a punk like Gavin has no right to know. Bang, Gavin shoots him right in the shoulder, instantly shutting him up. Looking down the smoking barrel, Gavin coldly tells him to repeat that, because now he's listening. Bleeding but still acting tough, Lowe warns he doesn't scare easily. He claims Gavin has absolutely no idea who he's messing with. Gavin casually orders his buddy to kill Lowe, completely stunning the chubby guy. Gavin pushes his friend to act. Thinking our MC is distracted, Lowe pulls a hidden gun and gets ready to fire. Panicking, the friend actually shoots first. Lowe catches a bullet right to the forehead, staring in pure shock as blood drips. Absolutely horrified, the chubby friend stares at Lowe's dead body. He just realized he became a killer. Calling Lowe useless, Gavin turns to Miss Pei, guessing she knows way more. She completely panics because he actually knows her name. With a dark smile, Gavin says his identity doesn't matter and jokes she can just call him Daddy. Absolutely furious, Miss Pei screams at him to stop acting so cocky. So Gavin shoots her right in the leg, dropping her in pure agony. Wounded and terrified, Pei screams she is a Zwei biotech executive, warning him about the massive consequences for this. Gavin just shoots her other leg, completely ignoring her fancy title. Standing over the shaking executive, he makes it clear he hates empty threats. Begging to survive, she promises to spill everything. She confesses that Lowe actually supplies their company with live human organs. Watch closely, this is where it gets twisted. Those organs fuel Zwei's human experiments, and Gavin demands to know the exact details. She explains they research human evolution and bioweapons. She even offers to show him the secret project if he lets her live. A quick flash reveals a monstrous mantis-like war machine. That thing is the crazy result of their sick experiments. Gavin instantly connects the dots. Zwei used human subjects to build the mantis war god. He realizes these shady human mods started way before the apocalypse even hit. Hearing this, Pei completely panics since this project is top secret. She asks how he could possibly know that. Right then, his friend opens a container nearby and jumps back. It is literally packed with organs. Totally desperate, Miss Pei begs Gavin to just team up with Zwei Biotech. She promises massive wealth and power if he uses his skills for them, but Gavin instantly rejects her, saying he has zero interest. Crying, she begs him not to kill her, insisting she can still be useful. Gavin mockingly asks how exactly she plans to do that. She blurts out that she is incredibly good with her mouth, clearly implying a very different kind of usefulness here. Her eyes go wide with absolute fear at his cold stare. Gavin just shoots her right in the head, ending it. He jokes she couldn't even catch a bullet but still bragged about her mouth skills. Then Gavin searches her and pockets a VIP keycard. That card unlocks the main Zwei Biotech headquarters. Jump to 3 days later, a fat Zwei shareholder is taking a very angry phone call. We both know who provoked him, right? Well, he angrily learns something serious happened at the company. Being just a minor investor, he throws a tantrum about being kept totally in the dark, demanding his right to know the truth. A huge muscular guy named Hunter walks in and boss Zhang greets him. Zhang hires this absolute unit to wipe out a troublesome kid named Gavin. Hunter actually has his own grudge against Gavin and promises to handle things. He vows to mail Mr. Zhang one of Gavin's hands within days. Meanwhile, Gavin's crazy fortified villa is coming together. It is built so tough that not even a literal tank could smash through these walls. An engineer tells him only the inside systems like water heating and ventilation are left. They should be completely done in a week. Gavin politely thanks the guy for his hard work. Enter Auntie Lou, the annoying neighborhood committee lady. She introduces herself, confirms Gavin lives there, and pushes him to scan a QR code for the group chat. Once he actually agrees and scans it, she immediately asks to take all the leftover cardboard boxes from his massive home renovations. Gavin admits he doesn't need them, but claims letting her inside right now would be super inconvenient. Auntie Lou keeps pushing. She says she will just grab a cart and take them herself. Gavin firmly insists it's a bad time because construction is rushed and delays are unacceptable. Getting angry, she calls him totally stingy. She argues taking some cardboard won't delay a thing, actually trying to shove her way inside. Gavin counters, offering to just drop them at her place in a week. She angrily refuses, claiming someone might sell them by then. She wants them now. Completely losing patience, Gavin yells at her to scram. She screams back, asking why he's cursing people. Gavin coldly tells her to get lost before he actually hits her. Storming away, Auntie Lou loudly complains that young people lack respect for elders. She furiously vows that karma is going to get him someday. Stick with me because this gets wilder. Elsewhere, rich kid Zach Young just paid gang leader One-Eyed Dragon $500,000 for a job. One-Eyed Dragon bows like a true lackey. He swears the vast dragon group will do absolutely anything for young Master Zach. What is the mission? Stick with me here. Zach makes it personal, ordering these guys to completely erase Gavin without a single trace. Smug as ever, One-Eyed Dragon promises to handle it tonight. As a pro killer, he guarantees Gavin is good as gone. Zach watches from the shadows as the hit squad finally rolls out to do his dirty work. Left alone, Zach gloats hard. He brags that Gavin has no idea who he is messing with. A single snap could end him. Cut to that night. The assassins scope out a massive luxury hotel, double-checking if the target is actually inside. The goons confirm Gavin is in the presidential suite, totally shocked by his wealth. Dragon immediately orders his men to fan out, lock down the exits, and make sure their target cannot escape. Meanwhile, inside, Gavin just chills. Ever since his rebirth, every single thing has gone perfectly to plan. He knows the most critical phase kicks off in exactly 3 days. Everything hinges on pulling this off perfectly. Suddenly, Gavin hears shuffling outside. Out in the hallway, One-Eyed Dragon creeps closer with a drawn pistol. Gavin figures out right away that these are Zach's hired guns. He smirks, deciding to play along with them. Now pay attention here because things get hilarious. Gavin listens at the door and realizes a second hit squad is arriving. Yep, Hunter leads his own gang down the hall, bragging about how easy this target is. Still, he warns them to stay sharp. This kid completely humiliated another rival gang recently. One of Hunter's guys flexes his gun, proving they came fully prepared this time. Flashing his gun, Hunter barks his orders. They need to beat Gavin to a pulp, then slice off an ear for Mr. Jang. Back inside, Gavin just hits the light switch. Since it is so crowded tonight, he might as well enjoy the chaos. Spotting the lights go out, One-Eyed Dragon figures Gavin just went to bed and signals his crew to breach. At the exact same second, Hunter orders his own thugs to storm in. Both rival gangs violently smash into the room from opposite doors, running right into each other instead. Dragon instantly halts his men, spotting mysterious figures standing right there in the dark. Completely mistaking Hunter for Gavin, Dragon aims his gun and screams at him to freeze. But Hunter thinks he is facing Gavin, so he arrogantly tells Dragon to drop his weapon first. Dragon absolutely loses his mind at this brat's insane level of disrespect. Hunter yells right back, telling the idiot he has the script completely backwards. He is the boss here. Dragon furiously declares the loudmouth is going down. Annoyed that their so-called target is acting so tough, Hunter yells at his crew to wipe out these cocky fools right now. In perfect comedic timing, both gangs scream out death threats and open fire on each other. Absolute chaos breaks loose. The two assassin squads blast away, dropping bodies left and right. Dragon's lackey panics, thinking Gavin hired heavy reinforcements and screams for heavier firepower. I know what you're thinking, this is peak comedy. Hunter screams to shoot Gavin's backup. Meanwhile, Gavin just hides safely, smirking as these absolute fools wipe each other out. When the smoke clears, a bloody One-Eyed Dragon leans against the light switch. He pants heavily, bragging that he finally slaughtered everyone. Bleeding on the floor, Hunter sees his entire crew destroyed. He furiously yells, asking why Dragon is even here. The two dying bosses finally realize they were hired separately to kill Gavin and start bickering. Dragon just groans. He realizes they got played like fiddles, and Gavin probably ghosted them ages ago. Fast forward 3 days. Gavin meets up with his buddy who drops some pretty major news. The guy reveals Chi-Chong pulled strings to get Gavin completely expelled. But Gavin literally does not care, an apocalypse is coming, making degrees totally useless anyway. His buddy agrees school is a joke, but he absolutely hates seeing Chi-Chong acting so smug. That loser is bragging online now. Checking his phone, Gavin scrolls through the toxic class chat. He smirks, knowing the absolute perfect way to wreck this guy. In the chat, Counselor Chi publicly announces that Gavin is officially expelled for assaulting a faculty member. Then Wanda chimes in, calling him trash and taunting that his whole future is destroyed. Reading her messages, Gavin just turns dead cold. She keeps spamming insults. Gavin finally replies, calling them all complete idiots. Furious, she types back, labeling him a jobless loser. Time for the nuke. Gavin publicly drops a bomb. Chi is having an affair with Principal Lee's wife, and he has camera proof. Yananil loses his mind at this explosive drama, immediately texting Gavin to ask how he knew that. Gavin remembers his past life during the apocalypse. While trapped in the school, a drunk Chi literally confessed everything to him. In absolute panic mode, Chi demands everyone delete the chat, threatening anyone who dares to screenshot it. Yananil just laughs and uploads it all online. That's where we leave it. Trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. Alright, stick with me here. Gavin tells Yananil they have some serious business to handle. Gavin asks if Yananil's dad still doubts the apocalypse warnings. Yananil sighs, saying his dad basically wants him committed. But Gavin promises after tonight's wild mission he will personally help convince the stubborn old man. Night falls over the city. Yananiel looks around the urban neighborhood wondering what epic event could happen here. Pulling up to a pretty nice house, he comments that this place is considered totally wealthy for this area. Inside this absolute trash of a drunk complains his booze is gone, gripping a heavy bottle. Surrounded by empty bottles, the drunkard stares at a bruised girl locked inside a cage. He glares at her like a total creep. Despite her injuries, the caged girl glares right back. He screams at her for staring, slamming the bottle against the bars and making her flinch. The guy rants that her mom's dowry is gone, threatening to sell her family's house for more cash. Laughing like an absolute maniac, he adds that before selling the house, he will sell her too. He snaps. Grabbing her chin and hair, he actually brags about beating her mom to death for talking back. Then stick with me here. Desperate, she bites his hand hard. Furious, he raises his arm for a deadly blow, telling her to go join her mother. Bam! The door bursts wide open. Gavin and Yananiel step right in, completely startling the drunk trash. The duo stands sternly in the doorway, taking in the brutal scene. Still gripping the girl's hair, the thug demands to know who Gavin is. Gavin just smirks, asking what he thinks. Gavin instantly recognizes this guy. It's Fong, a totally vicious thug who awakened a rare hyperspace ability in his past life. During the ice apocalypse, this guy transported government supplies and actually became a temporary national hero. But get this, Fong later stole a massive supply shipment instead of rescuing a freezing city. That betrayal caused 1 million people to freeze and starve. Gavin remembers Fong eventually died to an ice demon, taking all those stolen supplies to the grave. But seeing a little girl here, total shock for Gavin. She never existed in his previous timeline. Can you believe this guy? Thinking our duo are traffickers, Fong cheerfully offers to sell the skinny but pretty girl for some quick cash. Outraged, Yananiel points at Fong and calls him a disgusting beast, completely stunning him. Yananiel repeats, he is worse than an animal. Furious, Fong calls Yananiel a human traitor too loudly, accusing him of pure hypocrisy. Yananiel shouts back that he is absolutely no traitor, indignantly asking how he even looks like one. Fong raises a glass bottle, threatening to crack Yananiel's skull. Suddenly, bang, a loud blast strikes Fong right in the leg, making him scream in agony. Gavin casually praises his improving aim, while Yananiel calmly holds up the smoking weapon. Clutching his bleeding leg, Fong trembles, demanding to know who they are. Furious about his sick cruelty, Yananiel vows this trash will not walk away free. Watch this crazy pivot. While Fong struggles, the girl grabs a bottle and smashes his head as another shot rings out. You saw that right. Gavin and Yananiel stare in total shock at her attack. Leaking crimson, Fong loudly curses the girl for daring to hit him. Wham! She violently smashes that broken bottle onto his head again. Fong collapses. She stands over him with the stained glass while he threatens revenge. Trembling but resolute, she raises it high for one more strike. Yananiel instinctively moves to stop her, but Gavin firmly holds him back, telling him to just let her vent all that explosive rage. Gavin knows her accumulated hatred must be absolutely massive. Stopping her right now would only leave the poor kid permanently scarred on the inside. Her hand shakes, gripping the stained bottle. Fong lies motionless. You and I just witnessed absolute karma. Alright, stick with me here. The trembling girl stares at the body while Yananiel hypes up Fong being finished, and Gavin coldly agrees he deserved it. Time for the next phase. Gavin tells Yananiel to wash the red stains off the girl and keep her calm while he heads straight up to the rooftop. Up there, he watches fiery meteors and a glowing object plunging from the sky. He flashes a massive grin. This is the absolute ultimate opportunity right before the apocalypse hits. Gavin throws his arms wide open as golden power completely swallows him whole. Bathed in raw energy, Gavin cheers. He checks out his massive new luminous dimension, realizing it is perfectly sized to hoard an endless mountain of supplies. Now pay attention here. Later that night, his phone suddenly vibrates, interrupting the silence. Surprise, a patrol car pulls up. A handcuffed bald guy is actually telling the cops that Fong set up a shady trade right at this exact address. The officers draw their weapons, ordering the entire squad to raid the house immediately. Meanwhile, the rescued girl is totally cleaned up, standing super awkwardly in the living room. Yananiel brightly points out to Gavin that she actually looks pretty cute right now. But Gavin drops the bomb. Cops are outside. Yananiel totally panics over the literal corpse and weapons inside. Stick with me, let's dive into this wild escape. Gavin says running is pointless now. He uses his space ability, vanishing the corpse and leaving Daniel completely stunned. Suddenly, the police burst inside and scream at them both to freeze. An officer aims his gun, asking who Fang Ke is. The bald buyer insists the guy is not around. Meanwhile, our trio stands there with hands raised high. The suspicious officer demands to know why they are even here. Gavin smoothly lies, claiming he is her distant cousin just checking in. Daniel backs his play, saying he is just a classmate tagging along. The officer gently asks the girl her name, telling her not to worry. She introduces herself as Cece. He then asks if she actually knows Gavin. Cece nods, confirming he really is her cousin just like her mom said. Satisfied, the cop tells them to report any news about Fong Kei immediately, then finally leaves the scene. Once the cops leave, Daniel lets out a massive sigh of relief and begs to run. Cece quietly tugs his sleeve, wanting to tag along. Daniel realizes he completely forgot about her, wondering what happens to this kid now. Gavin casually asks if she wants to roll with them. Cece happily nods, yes. Daniel says they should adopt her since she cannot survive alone. Gavin agrees, but strictly declares absolutely no freeloaders allowed. So Gavin asks if she can cook instant noodles. She enthusiastically shouts that she can. I know what you are thinking, apocalypse prep. Nope, Gavin just smiles. They casually stroll under the night sky, debating hot pot and spicy food. Time is ticking. Only 3 days until the ice apocalypse hits. Approaching the massive, luxurious family mansion, Daniel admits his heart is still pounding with fear. Gavin smirks, saying there is nothing to fear. The apocalypse is absolutely hitting in 3 days. They need to convince his dad today. Inside, the stubborn father calls it total nonsense and kicks them out. Daniel desperately protests, swearing Gavin is telling the truth and begging him to act fast. Furious, his dad yells at them to leave and stop ruining his tea time. As he reaches out, Gavin subtly uses his space power to vanish the cup. The dad is totally baffled. Gavin cheerfully admits he took it casually, explaining this is his awesome superpower. The skeptical dad assumes it is a cheap magic trick, scoffing that he will not be fooled. So Gavin instantly vanishes the sofa, sending the dad crashing hard. Bruised and stunned, the old man stares at the empty floor. Gavin asks if he believes him now. Still in absolute denial, the dad claims it was a staged stunt and refuses to fold. Annoyed, Gavin deletes the floor right under the dad's hand, making it vanish. Faceplanting again, the dad groans in pain. He stubbornly challenges Gavin to make literally everything in the room disappear first. We both saw this coming. Gavin obliges, leaving Dad inside an empty, sparkling room. Staring at the empty space, the dad finally admits defeat. Gavin smugly asks one more time if he believes. Panicking, the dad slaps Daniel hard just to check if he is dreaming. Daniel yelps, asking why he got hit. Realizing this insane reality, the dad screams he is awake and finally believes in the godlike power of Gavin. The very next day, now only 2 days remain until the frozen apocalypse. Gavin gets a sweet notification. 760 million yuan just dropped right into his bank account. Daniel excitedly shows the massive transfer of over 700 million. Ready for action, Gavin tells Daniel they must split up. Daniel is on supply duty, grabbing hardcore winter gear. Meanwhile, Gavin will inspect their fortress villa and hunt down weapons. Arriving at the newly renovated villa, Gavin totally admires the epic defensive layout. The contractor, Mr. Xiao, proudly reports that every single crazy renovation is completely done to spec, eagerly asking for his thoughts. Gavin says he is incredibly satisfied and highly praises Xiao for his work. Xiao brags, this was their hardest project ever, built to let anyone survive an apocalypse in total comfort, assuming they have enough food. Promising the final payment soon, Xiao turns to leave, but Gavin suddenly stops him to drop a massive hint. He warns Xiao to lock himself inside for 2 days and aggressively stockpile food and supplies at his house. Puzzled, Xiao asks if a major typhoon is coming. Gavin stares him down, confirming a once-in-a-century superstorm is definitely on the way. Taking the solid advice, Xiao decides it is the perfect excuse to just chill at home for a couple of days. Soon after, massive trucks roll up to the fortress, dropping off literal mountains of supplies. That is where we leave it, Daniel returns proudly, bragging he bought only the most expensive survival gear. Stick with me, we are about to watch Gavin move everything inside so his superpowered space can absorb it. Right nearby, a grandma and her grandson stare at the massive delivery, totally convinced Gavin is opening a supermarket. The brat tugs her hand, whining for a lollipop from the cargo. She actually lifts him onto the crates, promising to snatch one. Later on, Yananiel runs up to Gavin in a complete panic. He admits that despite shopping like crazy, he still has not managed to blow through 100 million bucks. Gavin just smirks, sending him coordinates for several massive grain depots and orders him to buy up absolutely everything. See, in his past life, villains stole all those granaries. This time around, Gavin is cutting off their power source completely. Suddenly, a worker says an old lady is physically blocking the last batch of crossbow crates from being moved. Gavin heads over to look. This crazy grandma is literally hacking into his boxes, promising candy to her whining grandson. Gavin steps up and demands to know what she is doing. She cheerfully claims that since Gavin bought so much stuff, he totally will not mind her kid taking just one little lollipop. You guessed it, Gavin icily says he absolutely minds. This lady actually calls him stingy. She claims the candy is his apology for their past drama, even offering to take more boxes. Furious, Gavin orders her to get off his property right this second. She screams that as neighborhood committee deputy, she can take whatever she wants, accusing him of ruining the community vibe. The brat gloats from the very top, waving his stolen candy. Gavin yells at the crazy lady to get him down from there, but the kid refuses, calls him names, and boasts he will beat Gavin like some video game boss. Totally fed up, Gavin rolls his sleeves up, barking at the kid to drop down. She frantically screams at Gavin to back off. Suddenly, whoops, the kid slips, crashing hard right into a box of crossbows. Several sharp bolts jab straight into his backside. He screams in pure agony, howling that it hurts over and over. Grandma clutches her sobbing kid, his butt full of arrows. Gavin just smirks. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Furious, she screams that Gavin injured her precious boy, vowing she will return for absolute payback. Later, Gavin oversees huge deliveries while two women watch nearby. The redhead looks super puzzled, wondering why he is hoarding so much. Xania's best friend Yang Ziqing just laughs it off, calling Gavin completely insane for hoarding during a heatwave. Shrugging it off, the two girls leave him alone and head straight to the salon. Now watch closely, there is only one day left until the ice apocalypse. Gavin notes they blew their cash on 5 massive granaries. Gavin tells his buddy they will meet Chitsui before grabbing the food. At the park, she greets him, asking about his recent work. She says she got promoted to supervisor, anxiously asking how much longer she has to stay undercover working here. Gavin tells her she can quit tomorrow. She is absolutely thrilled. But wait, he stops her, asking for one last favor. He needs those warehouse keys because he is breaking in tonight. Cut to midnight. She jumps in surprise when Gavin actually shows up at the dark facility. Gavin tells her to wait inside for the full explanation. He stresses she must stay put and keep her mouth completely shut. Alone in the dark, she nervously wonders about Gavin's real plans. Meanwhile, workers show Gavin endless stacks of boxed food. He dismisses the boss's guys, snagging the keys to the other facilities. The second the staff leaves, Gavin and his buddy finally make their big move. Boom, Gavin activates his hyperspace, commanding it to swallow everything. His friend's jaw drops as the massive food pile vanishes into thin air. Gavin casually explains that whatever goes into hyperspace stays perfectly fresh forever, even centuries down the line. His buddy realizes time stops in there. Gavin admits he still needs to test it just as the manager returns, expecting to see boxes. The manager freezes at the empty room, literally questioning his own sanity. A mountain of food gone in seconds. Meanwhile, Gavin knocks on the sealed door where Chitsui has been patiently waiting. Blushing hard, she happily lets him in. Gavin warns her that things are about to get shocking and she better stay completely silent. She nods. He asks if she is ready. Flustered and totally misunderstanding the mood, Chitsui softly agrees. Her mind goes wild with embarrassment until Gavin just yells at her to follow. She frantically sprints after him through the aisles. They stop before towering shelves of grain. Trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. His hyperspace sweeps the room, making his stockpile absolutely godlike. Let's jump right into the madness. Chitsui completely panics as mountains of supplies vanish into thin air and asks Gavin if he did this. Gavin skips the explanations and urges her to help empty out the remaining warehouses quickly. A sign shows them entering the surveillance room. Standing inside the monitoring center, Chitsui is totally confused about why they came here. Gavin immediately uses his abilities to fry every single security camera in the building. He tells her they are leaving, and he will explain everything later. Later night falls on Gavin's massive, brightly lit villa. Inside, his little sister calmly serves tea as the group gathers around. Gavin straight up asks if Chitsui actually believes his story about his powers and the coming apocalypse. She nods, saying yes. Gavin's buddy is absolutely amazed by her blind, unconditional trust. Gavin announces that because the world ends tomorrow, nobody is allowed outside. Chitsui begs to run one final errand, so Gavin strictly warns her to be back before noon the very next day. The narration hits 0 days until the ice apocalypse. Meanwhile, a terrified thug pleads with young Master Young, crying that their previous ambush on Gavin was a huge mistake. The eye-patch henchman nervously explains they accidentally crashed into another gang that also wanted Gavin dead. He swears it will never ever happen again. Now pay attention here. Zack complains that every plan against Gavin fails and his patience is 0. He decides to grab a weapon and handle Gavin himself. Meanwhile, a hungry pack of stray cats and dogs eagerly wait for their food. Chitsui feeds the strays, crying as she warns them about the apocalypse and tells them they have to survive on their own now. She says goodbye to the animals, praying they meet again. Watching from the shadows, Zack's men report that Gavin is hiding inside his fortified villa, making a direct hit almost impossible right now. The eye-patch thug suggests grabbing Chitsui instead. Figuring she is his girlfriend, they plan to use her as bait. Suddenly, Gavin's buddy gets a shocking phone call. He says Zack captured Chitsui and demands Gavin show up alone. Gavin just smirks coldly, saying Zack is begging for death and won't even live to see the world end. The scene cuts to a dark, grim fortress where this epic showdown is about to happen. In a sketchy alley, Gavin walks up to Zack. His men have Chitsui tied up, and Zack mocks Gavin for actually showing up. Gavin demands they let Chitsui go first. Surprisingly, Zack orders his men to release her so the real fight can start, and she quickly runs to Gavin's side. Zack sneers at their little reunion and suddenly fires a gun right at them. Chetsui screams in terror as the gunshot echoes. But Gavin yanks her down, dodging the bullet with insane speed. Zack is absolutely stunned that anyone could evade a point-blank shot. Gavin checks if she is hurt. Terrified, she begs him to run away because these guys have guns. Gavin tells her to relax, promising he will handle this. Glaring at Zack, Gavin says he was going to let him live for a few more days, but now he is going to end him right here. Okay, you know where this is going. Zack orders his men to torture Gavin slowly. One cocky thug brags that he will handle this and charges straight in. Gavin instantly flattens the guy with one massive punch, asking if he seriously just came here to die. The other henchmen freeze, shocked by his raw power. The eye patch guy panics and orders everyone to swarm Gavin at once. Two thugs rush in with knives drawn. Gavin quickly grabs one guy's arm to completely block the strike. He brutally turns the blade right back, stabbing the attacker. Then Gavin spins, slashing and crippling the legs of the remaining enemies until they are all screaming. Chetsui watches in pure awe. Gavin is way stronger than she ever imagined. Zack and his lieutenant are absolutely losing their minds over Gavin's fighting skills, but the lieutenant quickly reminds Zack they still have guns. The lieutenant aims his weapon at Gavin, daring him to dodge another bullet. Suddenly a gunshot rings out, and the lieutenant takes the hit instead. Gavin smirks, revealing his own weapon and saying he brought a gun too. Zack screams in absolute disbelief as his most loyal guy drops dead. Chetsui is completely horrified, watching Gavin actually kill a man while Zack panics and sprints away. Not so fast. Gavin casually shoots Zack right in the leg, walking over and asking if he seriously thought he could just run away. Bleeding and terrified, Zack screams that he is the heir to the massive dragon group, insisting Gavin cannot legally touch him. Gavin's answer: he shoots him in the leg again, coldly pointing out that he already hurt him. Completely broken, Zack begs for his life, offering to pay literally any amount. Gavin demands $1 trillion, leaving Zack absolutely stunned and completely speechless. He cries out that nobody has that kind of cash, accusing Gavin of playing a sick joke. Gavin sighs. Since Zack cannot pay but still wants to act tough, he decides to teach him a very painful lesson with his fists. Zack screams in agony, begging Master Gavin to stop. But Gavin just calls him a coward, relentlessly continuing the beatdown because he promised to finish this today. Suddenly, police sirens wail. Officers rush in, ordering everybody to freeze. Gavin instantly realizes that Zack secretly called the cops the second he started losing. Zack gloats about Gavin going to prison for life. But what does Gavin do? He hits Zack right in the groin. And honestly, you and I both loved watching that coward howl in agony. Zack completely loses it, screaming that Gavin just destroyed his manhood. Stick with me here because Gavin isn't sparing this guy for the cops. He wants him suffering the coming apocalypse. Cops scream at Gavin to drop his weapon, but he just confidently declares they will never take him. They rush in to cuff him right there among the bleeding men. But Gavin, he calmly counts down. 3, 2, 1. Suddenly snow starts falling and an officer realizes his time is up. The cops just stare up, totally confused by the sudden snow. Everyone is baffled. Heavy snow. In the middle of summer, a massive dome of freezing frost instantly forms over the entire city. Shivering policemen realize the heat is dropping insanely fast. One bleeding thug absolutely panics as solid ice crystals freeze right over his wounds. Zack is already encased in frost, begging Gavin to save him. The cops panic, deciding they need to rescue the freezing victims first. Chu Yue clings to Gavin, shivering that it feels like minus 20 or 30 degrees. He tells her to hurry home before it gets colder. One cop actually points a weapon at Gavin, ordering him to freeze. Gavin casually warns him to drop that metal gun before the extreme cold destroys his hand. Feeling the frostbite, the cop hastily throws it away. Looking down at Zack, Gavin drops a quick taunt. Told you they would never catch me. Zack desperately begs for help, terrified his legs are freezing off. Gavin just walks away with Chu Yue, wishing him a fun apocalypse. Watch closely. The entire city is buried under snow. People drag themselves through the streets, loudly complaining about this deadly cold and calling it a once-in-a-century disaster. Chu Yue admits Gavin predicted this, but he warns things will only worsen. Panicking, she anxiously asks how long this icy nightmare will actually last. Gavin simply answers that he has no clue. He remembers his past life. Back then, this freezing hell lasted a whole year before he died, with zero signs of ever stopping. Over at a clothing store, panicked citizens violently loot winter coats, ignoring the protests and screaming they will freeze to death. Seeing the looting, Chu Yue fears society is collapsing. Gavin knows it is worse than that humanity itself is going to completely vanish. Right on cue, armed robbers block their path with knives, demanding their winter coats. Gavin coldly tells them to back off, warning they are courting death. Super offended, the two guys charge in with knives to stab him. Boom! Gavin casually blasts one attacker away with a heavy strike. He points his gun at the other guy, who freezes at the click. Holding him at gunpoint, Gavin sarcastically asks if this is what they call arrogance. Terrified, the robber changes his tune, flattering Gavin's mercy. Cut back to Gavin's massive villa, which is now completely buried under a howling blizzard. Inside, pure luxury. The group eats delicious hot pot, joking about how cozy it feels to feast warmly while the world freezes outside. But Gavin gets serious, ordering everyone to never open their doors for strangers again. Let's pause for a second. The news reports a mysterious global freeze, begging everyone to stay incredibly calm and maintain order. Gavin checks his phone. The neighborhood group chat is blowing up. Dozens of messages fly in from confused residents totally freaking out about this insane deep freeze hitting right in the middle of summer. A fortune teller and a lawyer jump into the chat, warning everyone to prepare early and hoard as many survival supplies as possible. But one really loud neighbor scolds the entire group, telling them to trust the authorities and stop panic hoarding. She arrogantly insists the storm will end soon and stocking up just causes trouble. Reading this, Gavin just smirks at his screen, looking incredibly entertained. Trolling on social media, Gavin openly replies that if they buy supplies, they need to buy huge amounts. Neighbors led by Aunt Lou instantly roast Gavin online for fear-mongering, insisting the snow will stop. Gavin just secretly laughs at them. Fast forward 3 days. Residents notice the snow hasn't stopped once, and the temperature has plummeted to minus 60 degrees. Outside, a couple freaks out because nobody had enough time to buy food. They fear starvation. Gavin just watches from behind, phone in hand, totally amused. Back in the community chat, everyone is crying about the worsening cold. People call out Aunt Lou's fake reassurance, while that fortune teller predicts some seriously bad omens. The chat turns into a massive argument. Finally, Aunt Lou orders everyone to obey the organization, announcing a mandatory house-to-house supply inspection. Hearing a knock, Gavin casually walks over to answer the door while his friends watch nervously. It is Aunt Lou and her crew outside, aggressively demanding entry to provide the community with warmth. Gavin cheerfully rejects them, saying his home is already warm. His guests smile as Aunt Lou demands he open up. Gavin casually refuses because it is cold. You and I just witnessed peak trolling. Stick with me here. Furious, Aunt Lou actually demands Gavin open his door immediately. Gavin sarcastically gasps that he would never dare defy them. Falling for it, she praises his fake obedience and screams to open up. But Gavin just bursts out laughing, brutally insulting her instead. Absolutely furious at the disrespect, Aunt Lou completely loses her mind, screaming. Her lackey panics about missing Gavin's supplies, but she brushes it off. She decides to go raid the weaker neighbors first to feed her precious grandson. Inside, Gavin smirks. 3 days of this disaster, and people's true dark nature is finally showing. Outside, brutal snow just keeps hammering the luxury apartments. The storm is only getting worse. Elsewhere, Zanaya and her mom panic. Only 3 days of food left, and the rich young master is trapped with injuries. The mom totally freaks out, but Zanaya stays cold and calculating. They still have cash, so she plans to buy out the neighbors. Hopping on the neighborhood group chat, she fakes running completely dry on food. She offers heavy cash for leftovers, throwing crazy money at a neighbor's tiny stash of noodles and porridge. Accepting insane markups without blinking, she drops her address, telling anyone hungry for cash exactly where to drop their food. Eating a literal feast, Gavin admits the girl he hates is actually smart. Buying early was definitely the right survival move. He just chuckles. Give it a few days and those greedy sellers are going to cry tears of blood. 3 days pass. The luxury villa complex now looks like a totally frozen wasteland. In another unit, survivors shiver under blankets. It is minus 60 or 70 degrees out there with zero sign of warming up. 2 freezing women are absolutely terrified. Their cabinets are empty. Starvation is knocking. Their boss Hunter refuses to just sit and rot. He rallies the freezing crew, declaring it is time to go looting. Now pay attention here. A lackey spots Gavin's online posts and wonders if it is the exact same guy they used to hunt. Realizing Gavin lives right here, they are stunned. Hunter just smirks, ordering his men to text Gavin and demand a personal food delivery right now. Back in his cozy fortress, Gavin is pushing Cece through intense physical training. He orders her to hold that brutal stance. Totally hyped up, Cece swears she will master this under his strict guidance. Watching her insane effort, Gavin's chubby buddy decides to jump in. The world is different now, and he needs to adapt. Gavin welcomes him, revealing a secret. This cultivation method will skyrocket them past normal humans if they grind it right now. But 5 minutes later, the chubby dude completely faceplants, groaning that his body is totally finished. Dead tired, he jokes about cooking a massive lobster to heal up, while Cece holds strong and Gavin just watches. Suddenly, Gavin's phone vibrates with a new message instantly catching his eye. Hunter threatens him to deliver food immediately if he wants to live. Reading this insanely arrogant demand from the same community, Gavin's face breaks into a dark, sly grin. His reply: just one brutal word, calling the guy a total idiot. In his past life, Hunter's gang lived far away. But this time around, the timeline changed, dropping them right on his doorstep. Over at Hunter's freezing base, the goons are eagerly waiting for Gavin's reply. A thug yells that Gavin texted back. Hunter demands the answer, but when the lackey reads that idiot insult out loud, Hunter is so shocked he literally spit takes his drink. Absolutely seething with rage, Hunter orders his crew to grab weapons and slaughter Gavin. Armed to the teeth, the gang marches straight through the blizzard toward the villa. Meanwhile, Zania's mom is stressing hard. Their bought food is almost gone. She begs to know if Zach Young has called. He is busy recovering, but promised to murder Gavin later. That sparks a memory for the mom. Gavin bought crazy amounts of supplies pre-apocalypse. Zania remembers seeing dozens of heavy trucks dropping crates at his house. I know exactly what you are thinking. Did Gavin somehow predict this disaster? But they instantly dismiss it. Even the government missed this sudden freeze, so how could he? Since Zach is stuck, the mom greedily suggests they should go claim Gavin's massive mountain of food for themselves. Smirking, Zania claims she can easily manipulate her old simp Gavin. She is fully planning to make him hand-deliver his entire stash. At the gates, Hunter's armed squad finally arrives. Checking the monitors, the chubby friend spots them and screams that they have uninvited guests. Gavin stays totally chill, instantly recognizing Hunter and his pathetic gang. Freezing outside, Hunter screams at him to open up while his goons flash weapons. Over the speakers, Gavin just coldly tells them to get lost. Hunter threatens to smash the heavy doors, swearing that Gavin is going to completely regret not begging for mercy. Trust me, you will want to see how he washes that foul mouth. Alright, you and I are jumping straight into the chaos. Watch Gavin blast Hunter's crew with freezing water, sending them scrambling. Absolutely soaked and shivering, Hunter screams at them to smash the door, but his frozen goons are begging to quit. Defeated for today, Hunter runs off screaming promises of bloody revenge. Safe inside, Gavin's buddy watches the cameras and happily hopes those frozen idiots turn into popsicles. 7 days into the apocalypse, Gavin drops a bomb. They are going outside tonight. His cozy friend is totally confused. With a wicked grin, Gavin reveals more meteors are dropping. His buddy gets hyped for a shower while Gavin gears up. Suddenly, his phone buzzes. He looks down, genuinely surprised. Xenia Scott just messaged him. Acting totally sweet in the chat, she politely asks if he is around to talk. His buddy reads it and instantly trash talks her while Gavin just ignores it. Meanwhile, Xenia's mom anxiously asks for updates. Xenia smirks, bragging that since she reached out first, Gavin will definitely come crawling back thrilled. 30 minutes pass. Xenia just glares at her, completely ignored messages. She starts raging, totally confused why Gavin left her on red. Freezing in their own house, Xenia's family complains, desperately stoking the fire. Elsewhere, Hunter's battered crew huddles up, whining that this cold is literally unlivable. Hunter curses Gavin's name, promising to break his door, strip him naked, and toss him into the snow. 2 whole hours later, Xenia finally admits to her mom that Gavin is ghosting her. Her mom thinks he is just throwing a tantrum and suggests sending a sweet voice note. She is absolutely sure he will melt. So Xenia records this sickly sweet voice message, faking genuine concern about his safety in the snow. With a smug smile, she fires off the audio clip. You will love this part. Since she wants to act, Gavin plays along just to completely mess with her. He brutally replies, asking cut to Xenia. Playing back his belittling daddy remark leaves her and her mom completely speechless. Absolutely furious, Xenia curses Gavin and chucks her phone. You and I both know group chats are toxic. Neighbors regret selling food, roasting Auntie Lou while she demands everyone surrender their extra snacks to the committee. Gavin just laughs at her scam. In an apocalypse, only an absolute idiot would actually give away their precious food. As total darkness sets in, his buddy points outside. Gavin declares it is go time. He tells Sui and Cece to bundle up and follow. Secretly, he knows a meteor will crash nearby. But bringing more people drastically boosts their chances of actually finding the epic loot. For the first time since Doomsday kicked off, Gavin leads his bundled crew into the freezing streets. Gavin says 2 meteors drop tonight. Trust me, you are gonna love what happens next. He orders the whole squad to dive for any they see. Stick with me for this one. Nearby, Auntie Lou patrols with a loudspeaker, demanding everyone hand over their survival supplies for the whole community. Behind closed doors, she admits the food they already stole is totally gone. Now she is swearing to snatch even more for her precious grandson. Gavin's friend calls her completely shameless, but Gavin just watches with dead eyes. Suddenly, a committee goon spots Gavin up ahead and points him out. Auntie Lou lights up and rushes over, completely eager to confront the guy who refused to open his door earlier. She screams at Gavin to freeze, setting up a massive snowy street showdown. But Gavin, he just calmly asks if there is a problem. Now, pay attention. This crazy lady actually accuses Gavin of hoarding truckloads of supplies at home. Gavin just smiles and openly admits that he indeed hoarded a massive amount. The committee goons absolutely lose their minds hearing he has food. They instantly order him to hand everything over to the neighborhood group. Gavin simply asks why he should ever agree to that. She claims it is an official order and demands he set a good example. Gavin fires back that his food is nobody else's business. Furious, she completely scolds his attitude and tells him to improve his character. He laughs in her face, calling her an old hag. He makes it clear she has absolutely zero right to lecture him about anything. Screaming about insolent youth, she formally condemns him in the name of her fake committee. Gavin just rolls his eyes and tries to leave. But as he moves, two thugs holding heavy shovels block his path and scream halt. She smirks, threatening that he is not going anywhere until he drops every last supply. Whack Gavin's chubby friend angrily slaps the woman down. Shocked, she orders an attack. Trust me, you and I both felt that satisfying slap. Let's dive in. Cece spots fiery streaks above and screams the meteor is here. Gavin hypes his crew to grab that meteor fast, but those guys with shovels, they scream nobody is leaving. Gavin and his buddy instantly fight back, sending the attackers flying. He tells them to get lost. The chubby friend totally sprints toward the blazing rock, hyping up his huge legendary opportunity. Boom, the impact knocks him flat. Suddenly, Cece gets lifted right toward the meteor as intense light glows beneath her. The chubby guy is totally stunned. The space rock is literally flying toward Cece itself. Wild energy completely engulfs Cece, wrapping her inside, screaming golden flames. Hitting the ground, glowing, Cece kneels. Choo-Choo panics, running over to ask if she is hurt. Cece promises she is totally fine, saying the rock somehow entered her body. Then Choo-Choo looks up screaming, a second meteor is dropping. Gavin immediately leads the whole crew sprinting after it. Behind them, that injured woman yells for them to stop crying about hitting an elder. The second meteor violently slams ahead and the massive shockwave knocks the entire group backward. Gavin wonders why this one hit dirt instead of a person. He explains ground meteors usually drop super rare loot. Now watch closely as they check the crater. The chubby friend spots a glowing object resembling amber. Gavin calls it red spirit fluid, an insanely rare treasure. The chubby friend is confused, asking what the heck spirit fluid even does. The visual shows it perfectly. Drinking this red fluid completely maxes out your cold resistance. Gavin knows high cold resistance is broken in an ice apocalypse. He says to head back home. Later, those annoying committee members are kneeling and whining. They accuse Gavin of crimes, demanding cash and instant noodles as payback. Gavin just glares with pure disgust and calls them idiots. The lackeys ask Auntie Lou what to do about Gavin fighting back. She decides to loot other houses first and punish him later. Suddenly, a news broadcast confirms this ice disaster is global. It tells citizens to survive alone, while the coalition government attempts to launch rescue operations. Inside Gavin's house, the television dies. Someone yells about the outage, but Gavin calmly explains the city grid overloaded from the ice apocalypse. But he casually assures everyone his house has stored power for a century. Staring at the snow, Choo-Choo realizes zero power means no heat. People are definitely going to freeze or starve out there. Gavin says compassion is fine, but you and I know they cannot save everyone now. Choo nods, understanding the brutal reality. Gavin asks Cece about the meteor inside her. She feels pretty normal, honestly, except her physical body is way lighter than before. Gavin is totally shocked that feeling lighter is her only change. Cece just nods, yes. He makes her test it out by doing the body tempering technique he taught while everyone watches. After watching, Gavin realizes her physical stats have not changed. Her new awakened ability is definitely not strength-related. He asks if she unlocked any epic system memories like magic spells or sword techniques. Cece just says no. Gavin finds this really weird. They will have to test her awakened powers later. Holding the amber, Gavin tells the team they will share the fluid to survive the extreme cold outside. The chubby guy quickly downs his tiny cup of the legendary red spirit fluid. Feeling pure warmth rush through his veins, he absolutely loves it. Gavin warns that it does not make them invincible to ice, but it will definitely stop them from freezing to death while exploring outside. Out in the raging blizzard, Xenia's mom is complaining. No power means no heat, and she is absolutely freezing. Xenia tries calming her shivering mom down, promising the city power will return soon. But the old lady panics. Without Zach Young saving them, they will not survive this dark, freezing hell. Xenia furiously promises that when Zach arrives, she will make him execute Gavin first. Suddenly, her mom points outside. Across the dark street, Gavin's house is literally glowing with electricity while the whole neighborhood is completely dead. Xenia's mom realizes Gavin must have prepped his own insane power generation system. Furious that Gavin is living like a king, Xenia viciously curses him. Her mom says to stop raging and call Gavin instead. Maybe they can leech some supplies off him. Xenia agrees, grabbing her phone. With a fake smile, Xenia calls Gavin asking about the outage. Trust me, you and I will love his reaction. Gavin's bright toasty house completely stands out in this frozen, deadly night. Inside, he checks Xenia's text. Stick with me, you are going to love his petty reaction. He snaps a picture of his massive feast just to flex on her. Meanwhile, in their freezing house, Xenia and her mom completely freak out when his reply finally pops up. Bam! The photo shows a completely stacked table of incredible food. He claims he just cooked a huge meal out of boredom. Drooling, the starving women cannot believe he is hoarding all their absolute favorite snacks. Panicking about starving, the mom tells Xenia to do whatever it takes to secure some of that food. Xenia calls him back, totally shocked that he has a feast while their own pantry is completely empty. They jump for joy when he replies again, rushing to read it. But the message just says he is eating and logging off. The two women are absolutely stunned. Furious, Xenia slams her phone down. She knows he is just mocking them on purpose. Chilling at home, Gavin figures the rest of the neighborhood is probably losing their minds too. The group chat is chaotic. People are starving in the deep snow, and one guy decides he would rather risk exploring outside than slowly starve. Gavin casually warns them that going out is pure suicide. It is way below zero, and without proper winter gear, they will turn into popsicles. Ignoring the warnings, Big Stick Wang says he is heading out anyway. The others just awkwardly wish him good luck. Meanwhile, Hunter and his boys huddle around a fire. Their food is totally gone and they are counting their final days. The gang begs Hunter for a plan so they do not just die waiting. But Hunter refuses to leave the safe zone. It is too freezing. Remembering that Auntie Lou hoarded community supplies, Hunter gets a dark idea to rob her. He remembers his own grandmother bragging about hoarding massive amounts of food from the neighbors. In that flashback, he selfishly claims the entire stash for himself, forbidding her to eat. His grandmother just smiles and spoils him, promising to save everything for her precious grandson. Now watch closely. Hunter and his thugs are already banging on Aunt Lou's door with bats. Spotting Hunter, she panics. Why on earth is this thug here? Open up or he breaks it. Terrified, she immediately screams at her grandson to hide their food stash. When she stalls, boom, Hunter kicks the door in like nothing. A thug spots the hidden goods and yells out. Hunter flashes an evil grin. Take everything. Auntie Lou desperately tries to block them, screaming that this is totally illegal. Hunter just laughs at her, pointing out she stole those exact supplies from everyone else. A thug violently shoves her. Enraged and totally desperate, Auntie Lou lunges right at them. Smack. Another guy floors her, yelling at her to back off while they keep looting. Her grandson clings to a box, screaming threats, so a thug just ruthlessly backhands the kid. Aunt Lou screams in pure agony for him. Not satisfied yet, Hunter tells his crew to steal all her wooden furniture for firewood too. Looting everything they leave, Auntie Lou clutching her grandson, cursing them out as absolute monsters. We know this is shameless, right? But the mom actually tells Xenia to drop her anger, act cute, and beg him again. Meanwhile, his chubby buddy happily chats with his dad while Gavin gets ready for Xenia's next move. Suddenly, Xenia starts cheering. Gavin literally just replied with the word, okay. Convinced her little act worked, she tells her mom a feast is waiting. She really thinks Gavin is just a weak pushover. Freezing in the snow, they rush right to his door, yelling for him to open up quickly. Inside, Gavin just games on. Hearing the buzzer, he pretends to have no clue who she is. Outside, she cheerfully says her name. Through the speaker, he acts super surprised that she is there. Shivering to death, she begs him to open up before she freezes solid. But Gavin coldly asks why he should even do that and who invited her. Confused, she screams that his last message literally said the word okay. Gavin smirks and tells her to reread it. What do you and I learn here? Never mess with a petty king. Alright, let's jump into this mess. Xenia checks her phone, totally puzzled, only to see Gavin added my ass right after okay. Realizing he totally played her, she loses her mind. Furious, she screams through the door, demanding to know if he is messing with her. Gavin flat out says nope. Frustrated, Xenia kicks his door and promises he will deeply regret this. We see the house outside as she screams bloody murder, already plotting her vicious revenge. Back at her own place, she is furious, they cannot even get inside. So, she forms a new plan. She calls Auntie Lou, accusing Gavin of hoarding supplies so the neighborhood committee will hunt him. Over at Auntie Lou's place, her hurt grandson cries about freezing and starving. She stresses out, terrified of losing him. She promises to find him food immediately. Suddenly, her cell phone starts ringing. It is Xenia playing the victim, reporting Gavin for stockpiling food and living like a king while everyone starves. She begs for punishment. Auntie Lou was already super suspicious anyway. She agrees, ready to teach him a brutal lesson. Meanwhile, the group chat notices Big Stick Wang has gone totally silent. Turns out, Wang nearly froze to death looking for food. The chat realizes the dark truth: going outside kills, but staying means starving. Now, pay close attention here. Half a month into the apocalypse, the real test of human nature is officially starting. Gavin's face gets serious as he reads the new alerts. The group chat blows up again. Auntie Lou is publicly roasting him for hoarding their survival supplies. Shocked neighbors start begging for medicine. Suddenly, everyone wants a piece of his stash. Gavin figures it out instantly. She is weaponizing the entire complex to force him into giving up his goods. She even slides into his private messages. She guilt trips him about dying neighbors, demanding his food for zero pay, just a useless caring resident certificate. Then she leaks the chat about his stash to the public group, stirring up the angry mob by weaponizing poor sick Wang. Gavin remembers his past life clearly. Being a nice guy just got him completely robbed. He swears right now, in this second life, nobody ever crosses him again. He fires back a savage text. Auntie Lou absolutely loses her mind. Furious, she rallies the starving homeowners, painting Gavin as the ultimate villain to raid. Meanwhile, Gavin's buddy tells his dad to chill out. When Gavin asks what is going on, his friend drops some seriously heavy news. He explains that his father just reported absolute madness outside, people smashing windows and looting. Gavin shrugs it off. Total chaos is standard apocalypse behavior, and it will only get worse. His friend is sweating. His parents have food, making them prime targets for looters. Gavin realizes his buddy just wants to check on them. Pumped full of spirit fluid, the friend boasts he can handle the deadly cold and step outside. Gavin offers to tag along, pulling out a literal snowmobile to make the freezing trip easy. But right then, violent pounding and aggressive shouts from the front door cut them off. You and I both know what is coming. Checking the monitor, they spot Auntie Lou leading a massive mob. Gavin actually respects her persistence. Outside, the desperate neighbors stare at his house. The lights are on, and steam from the roof proves it is toasty warm inside. Seeing this, Auntie Lou greedily assumes he has mountains of food. She hypes the crowd, claiming his stash can easily save all of them. Safe inside, Gavin calmly tells his buddy, the mob is hungry, but they are getting absolutely zero free handouts today. Standing on his porch, Auntie Lou aggressively demands his supplies for community distribution. She falsely claims every single resident voted for this plan. Hitting the intercom, Gavin sarcastically asks if her tiny little fan club really represents everyone. Throwing her weight around, she flexes her committee director title and screams at him to open up. Gavin flatly refuses. He actually dares them to break in if they think they can. She planned for this. Auntie Lou pulls up a pro locksmith, Old Man Lee. She orders him to work while he flexes his picking skills. The crowd goes wild, already drooling over the warm beds and hot food waiting inside. But Old Man Lee immediately starts sweating. This insane, multi-layered vault lock is nothing like a normal door. Auntie Lou snaps impatiently, asking what is taking so long. Watching the comedy show on screen, Gavin laughs. His security is literally bank vault tier, way beyond some random neighborhood lockpicker. Sweating hard, Old Man Lee tries again. Trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. Stick with me, we're witnessing peak-based defense. Gavin is done playing nice. He gives the signal, Yananiel flips a switch, and boom, massive electricity surges through the metal door, instantly frying the locksmith outside. Aunt Lou shrieks over Old Man Lee's smoking, collapsed body, furiously blaming Gavin for electrifying the door. Time for Plan B. She orders a totally new tactic. Her men drag out a massive log, getting ready to absolutely ram the door down. At her screeching command, the guys charge forward, swinging the log to smash the entrance. Boom, the log slams into the reinforced metal with terrifying force, but the door completely holds. Watching the cameras, Gavin and Yananiel just laugh. These attackers are completely shameless. Those supplies were never theirs to begin with. Gavin hits them with some facts. The apocalypse shows everyone's true colors. Some would rather die than do evil, while others will gladly kill just to survive another day. Sweating and exhausted from the useless battering, one guy just collapses. He literally cannot go on. The rest of them drop like flies around the log. They finally admit defeat, guessing the door is made of some unbreakable super alloy. Seeing them entirely worn out, Gavin decides it's his turn to play. He promises to serve up something absolutely disgusting. Yananiel happily slaps another switch. Here we go. Outside, Aunt Lou goes crazy, ordering her exhausted men to keep ramming the door. She refuses to give up. Suddenly, a massive wave of foul brown liquid dumps right over Aunt Lou's head. The whole squad gets drenched in the nasty spray. They stand there completely horrified and wildly confused. Aunt Lou screams at him for splashing water, but you and I know that's definitely not water. The overpowering nasty stench hits them fast. It's a disgusting mix of pee and poop. Now they're completely soaked, shivering in the cold, and basically throwing up. Gavin cracks up at the monitors. He taunts Aunt Lou to keep crying proudly, announcing he's got plenty more crap to dump if they want it. Freezing exhausted and smelling absolutely terrible, the guys realize they'll die of hypothermia if they stay. Furious, they completely blame Aunt Lou for dragging them into this nightmare. Back at Hunter's base, news spreads fast. Aunt Lou's raid completely failed and her crew came back literally covered in poop. Hunter's guys actually respect Gavin's crazy traps. To them, this insane defense just proves he's hiding a massive stockpile of supplies inside. One woman insists they can't just let Gavin go. If they manage to breach his house, his food stash will let them live like absolute royalty. Holding a serious grudge, Hunter vows he'll be the one to take Gavin down. But he knows they need a very careful plan first. Over at Xenia's house, they hear about Aunt Lou's epic failure. Meanwhile, Xenia's mom is loudly complaining that she's literally freezing to death. Desperate Xenia decides to call Zach again for a rescue. Zach picks up super annoyed. But Xenia turns on the charm, flirting and begging him to come save her because she's just so cold. Zach completely snaps. He can't even save himself right now. He hangs up the phone, leaving Xenia standing there in absolute shock. Xenia tells her mom that Zach flat out refused. He must be in deep trouble too, which sparks a massive panic that he's abandoning them forever. Her mom absolutely loses it. She cries that they're all gonna die, saying they have no choice but to scavenge for food themselves. But then she quickly backs down. Going out into that freeze is instant death. Xenia is in pure despair now, asking what else they can possibly do. Her mom insists their only hope is begging Gavin. I know what you're thinking, the absolute audacity, right? Xenia is left completely speechless. Time slowly passes. Gavin's bright, cozy fortress looks like paradise compared to the deadly winter outside. Gavin's phone buzzes. It's Xenia suddenly acting super humble. She admits she was wrong, begs for forgiveness, and desperately asks what he wants. Smirking like a villain, Gavin drops his condition. She has to call him daddy. Staring at her screen, Xenia's face turns red with pure humiliation and rage. She storms out to complain to her mom, screaming that Gavin is crossing the line. But her mom says, just swallow your pride, call him daddy. They have zero options left. Xenia strongly hesitates, but the older woman screams that staying alive beats having dignity. She tells Xenia there's no room for arguments. Seething with anger, Xenia forms a sneaky plan. She'll trick Gavin into opening up, then violently punish him the second she steps inside. Chilling on his comfortable couch, Gavin reads her new message calling him daddy. He smiles, completely satisfied. Xenia and her mom literally cheer, convinced Gavin is unlocking the doors right now. Instead, Gavin's text brutally mocks her. He says he doesn't acknowledge disobedient daughters. Xenia is completely shell-shocked. She absolutely loses her mind, screaming censored curses at the phone and wishing Gavin dead. Meanwhile, Hunter is hyping up his squad. Weapons checked, gear ready. He swears Gavin is going down tonight. With a final nod, the heavily armed group marches out. The men march aggressively down the frozen hallway, heading straight for Gavin's loaded safe house. Yin and Neil spots them on the cameras. Hunter's gang is back. And trust me, you're gonna want to see how Gavin destroys them next. Alright, stick with me. We are about to watch Gavin completely destroy these guys. Outside, Hunter's gang demands he open up. Inside, Gavin just sips his drink. Total idiot, he thinks. Outside, Hunter's crew stacks firewood right against the gate. He screams that Gavin's time is officially up. Hunter orders gasoline poured everywhere. Burn him alive. Meanwhile, Gavin and Yananiel just watch the arson attempt unfold. The funny part, this villa is completely fireproof. Hunter mocks him, tossing a lighter. Boom, a massive blaze erupts while the henchmen watch. But one thug nervously points out something weird. Absolute silence from inside. Another guy finally connects the dots. Fireproof materials. The flames are doing literally zero damage. Furious Hunter calls for an impact drill to bust through. A long-haired thug steps up. He starts drilling the gate while Hunter hypes him up, desperate to crush Gavin personally. Inside, Gavin's little sister warns him about the wall smashing. But Gavin casually promises she is totally safe. Now pay close attention. It is officially hunting time. He and Yananiel prepare to fight back, and Gavin grabs a deadly bow for close-range kills. Why a bow? Because in this ice apocalypse, weird supernatural powers might make guns useless. He needs the practice. Outside, Hunter yells to ask if they broke through yet. The driller freezes. Something feels completely off, and Hunter demands to know what happened. He hit something rock solid. Hunter inspects the hole and finds pure steel plating. They curse Gavin for armoring the place. Hunter panics. With that heavy steel, the house is literally impenetrable. Swish, an arrow drops the driller instantly. Suddenly, arrows rain down everywhere, shredding thugs as Hunter screams to take cover from the ambush. Furious and panicking, Hunter screams he will kill Gavin. But under heavy fire, Hunter takes a hit and screams. The men flee in terror, dragging their bleeding boss and leaving a red trail. 3 heavily injured thugs get left behind, crying for their friends to stay. Gavin calmly watches from above. 3 guys on the ground, the rest gone. Gavin tells Yananiel the wounded escapees will probably die in this extreme weather anyway. But what about these 3 pathetic guys left behind? The injured guys cry, begging for mercy and blaming Hunter. Gavin just turns around, leaving them freezing in the bloody snow. You see his logic here, right? Gavin explains. Hunter will never return, and the freezing snow will finish the job easily. Plus, Yananiel adds that Hunter abandoning his crew will definitely destroy their group from the inside. Meanwhile, the 3 bleeding thugs actually feel relieved Gavin spared them. But reality hits hard. They will freeze fast. One guy frantically calls Hunter for backup. Over the phone, they beg for a rescue at Gavin's gate. But then, the call just abruptly disconnects on them. Confused, they ask what he said. The guy reveals Hunter hung up. Complete horror sets in. He abandoned them. Furious, the men curse Hunter for using them as disposable meat shields. The only option left begging Gavin. They scream toward the villa, crying about the cold and offering to be his slaves for survival. Back at his own villa, Hunter screams for someone to pull the arrow. His long-haired guy violently yanks it out, and Hunter howls in absolute agony. Watching from inside, two women realize Hunter lost again. They totally underestimated just how strong Gavin actually is. Hunter snaps at them to stop staring and go boil water to clean his disgusting wound. Terrified, they rush to the kitchen. One woman panics, realizing Hunter is totally outmatched. What are they going to do? The other whispers they need an escape plan. Relying on Hunter is a death wish, but they have zero food or exits. Stuck in this nightmare, the purple-haired girl decides Gavin's apartment is actually the safest spot in town. She suggests they go to Gavin despite their horrible past. If they use the whole former classmate excuse and apologize, maybe he will help. Meanwhile, Gavin and Yananiel gear up two epic snowmobiles, pumped at how easy it makes snow travel. Strapping on his helmet, Gavin announces they are checking on Yananiel's parents next. Near her parents' place, someone spots his slick ride and points it out to Xenia. Bitter and jealous Xenia secretly vows to steal everything. Gliding through the frozen city, Gavin sees 2 meters of snow and completely dead empty streets. They spot a supermarket and enter cautiously. Trust me, you and I want to see what happens next. Completely trashed. Every single shelf here is totally empty. Stick with me here, we're diving back into this icy nightmare. Gavin realizes it's been a month, and everyone's food stash is officially wiped out. Yananiel screams a warning. Without even blinking, Gavin spins and front kicks a guy trying to brain him with a baseball bat. Yananiel immediately draws his gun on the bleeding attacker, ready to blast him for the cheap shot. Gavin tells him to chill, but the desperate guy begs, crying that he had zero choice. He's got a starving family he needs to feed. A family. Yananiel freezes up. The bleeding guy yells out to the shadows, telling his hidden family members it's safe to come out. A terrified, heavily pregnant woman and 2 little kids step out from the back. The man desperately points out his wife's condition. 2 kids, no food left anywhere in the store. He swears he was completely forced into robbing them. Gavin just stares. Why not just ask for food instead of swinging a bat? The guy chokes up, totally speechless. Instantly, his wife and kids drop to their knees, crying and begging Gavin to spare their lives. Gavin pulls Yananiel aside to figure out what to do. But walking down the empty aisles, Yananiel catches a seriously awful smell. Now pay attention, because things get incredibly dark here. They track the heavy scent of blood and uncover a pile of butchered human skeletons. Gavin's worst theory is confirmed. That poor innocent family, they've been eating people. He orders Yananiel outside, who immediately throws up in pure disgust. Absolutely enraged, Yananiel screams that he's going to execute the cannibals. Gavin casually asks if he plans on shooting the pregnant mom and kids too. Yananiel hesitates, saying he'd only kill the husband. But Gavin points out the brutal truth. Killing the dad means the wife and kids will starve anyway. Yananiel is furious. They are literal monsters who survived by treating other humans like walking buffets. Gavin stays icy cold. In a desperate apocalypse like this, morals vanish. This kind of horror is just the new normal. A bit later, the two hop on their snowmobiles and speed toward Yananiel's parents' place. They pull up, and Gavin instantly spots the front door kicked wide open in the freezing cold. Something is very, very wrong. Inside, heavily armed thugs are throwing a massive party over the parents' huge supply stash. The boss Ba hypes up his loud crew, promising everyone extra meat tonight. One of the goons turns to Ba, asking what to do with the tied-up elderly couple. Ba flashes a sick smile. He orders them dead. A thug immediately raises his gun, totally fine with executing 2 helpless old people. Yananiel violently bursts through the door, screaming at them to stop. You and I both felt that one. His mother begs him to run, but the gunman just coldly executes her at point-blank range. Pure horror. Yananiel shrieks for his mom while his father suddenly tackles the shooter, screaming for his son to run. The thug curses the old man for having a death wish and unloads his clip. Yananiel watches in absolute agony as his father drops. Smiling, the killer aims right at Yananiel, promising to send the whole family to the afterlife together. Boom! Gavin charges in like a demon, slicing the gunman's arm clean off. The severed limb drops, and the guy shrieks. Knife dripping blood, Gavin glares at them. They demand to know who he is. His answer, the Grim Reaper. Then he instantly drops another guy. Ba totally panics. He orders his crew to attack. 2 heavily armed goons rush Gavin, screaming for his blood. A blur of motion. Gavin slashes one before he can even pull the trigger. The surviving thugs are completely paralyzed by his insane speed. One idiot yells to retreat and turns his back. Big mistake. Gavin instantly cuts him down from behind, zero mercy. Covered in blood, Gavin gives one dark warning. Anyone who twitches gets chopped up into dog food. The last 2 thugs hit the floor, sobbing for mercy. Meanwhile, Yananiel desperately slides over to his dying parents, bawling his eyes out. Hanging on by a thread, his mom reaches out, just happy her boy is okay. His dad coughs up blood. He says they're leaving this world first and warns Yananiel to watch out for Lee Santian from Mang Village. Sobbing over their bodies, Yananiel begs his dad to hold on. Then absolute rage takes over. He asks Gavin to give him the survivors. Completely unhinged, Yananiel violently stabs one of the begging thugs over and over again. The final thug screams that he was just following orders. He begs to be let go. Yananiel doesn't care. He raises the bloody knife, screaming at him to rot. But Gavin grabs his arm, needing this guy alive for answers. Gavin grabs the terrified thug. Who sent them? Shaking the guy spills everything. It was Chief Lee of Mang Village. Even Gavin is caught off guard hearing the exact name of Chief Lee. Yananiel explains that Mang Village is nearby. His dad actually helped them. Lee Santian used to work for him, making this betrayal incredibly sick. So, what do you and I make of this? The captive swears Mang Village rules everything now. Things are about to get really, really messy. Let us jump right into some peak Manhwa revenge. Gavin scoffs at letting him go. The man actually warns that Mang Village will hunt him down. Instead of answering, Gavin casually rips the guy's clothes right off. Mang Village, they are the ones past forgiveness. Totally terrified and half-naked, the freezing man screams, asking what Gavin is planning. Gavin smirks. A quick death is way too easy. He deserves to freeze slowly, so he throws him right outside. The guy begs for his life as the brutal cold bites. Gavin just kicks him into the snow. Get lost. Shivering outside, he begs for a quick execution. Nope. Time passes and the guy literally turns into a solid ice block. Yananiel is absolutely burning with hatred. He wants payback now and urges them toward Mang Village. They ride hard until the gate. Creepy hanging corpses prove they found the right spot. Inspecting the massive fortified entrance, Gavin realizes they basically turned this village into a literal fortress. Yananiel points out those hanging bodies as proof of their countless atrocities. Suddenly, two Mang Village guys roll up on snowmobiles. Oh, so the village has snowmobiles too. The riders block them, demanding to know who they are. Gavin and Yananiel play it cool, claiming to be guests. The riders ask who invited them. Gavin calmly drops a name. Village Chief Lee Santian invited them. Now watch closely because things escalate fast. The riders yell that is a lie since the chief left with a biotech company. Boom, Gavin shoots them both in the head. The bodies drop instantly. Gavin just stands there holding the smoking gun. People up on the massive wall spot the commotion and scream down at them. The alarmed guards realize their guys are dead. They loudly curse the intruders for causing trouble. Scanning the insane defenses, Gavin realizes breaking in today is impossible. Yananiel suggests retreating to make a plan. As they rip away on their snowmobiles, angry guards yell at them to stop and fire shots. They speed the snowmobiles back. Pulling up to Gavin's villa, gathered neighbors happily cheer his return. They are so relieved their supposed savior survived the freeze. But Gavin completely shocked by this massive crowd. The desperate crowd urgently asks if he brought back food. Annoyed Gavin barks at everyone blocking him to move. One entitled guy reminds Gavin he was supposed to find supplies and demands to know if he did. Gavin snaps back. He never agreed to search for their supplies. The man gets super suspicious, asking what Gavin was doing out there if not gathering food. Gavin tells them his business is his own and orders them away. An elder actually scolds Gavin for disrespecting his precious seniors. Another villager desperately cries that they are literally starving. Gavin flat out replies that he found absolutely nothing. We all know this ends badly. The guy calls Gavin a liar and demands to search him. Gavin furiously shoves him away. Get lost. Gavin's friend steps up frankly, telling the crowd they never looked for food and to disperse. The people loudly protest they will die. They actually announce they are going to commandeer Gavin's snowmobiles to find food themselves. Commandeer Gavin sneers at the word, calling the whole lot completely shameless. This scheming woman chimes in. If he will not lend the bikes, he should hand over the food he secretly hoarded in his home. The crazy group threatens to camp at his door until he shares. Annoyed, Gavin tells Yananiel to ignore these clowns and go inside. Suddenly, the woman grabs Gavin. He cannot leave without giving them food. Gavin violently flings the annoying woman away, telling her to let go. She theatrically cries that he is beating a helpless woman. She demands instant noodles as compensation or she will publicly curse him daily. The other men accuse Gavin of going way too far, questioning his manhood for hitting her. The woman orders him to apologize and help her inside his house to recover. Gavin silently extends his hand, acting totally compliant. Smug as ever, she tells him to help her up and cook a meal. Bam! Gavin suddenly strikes her hard, sending her flying. Completely dazed and clutching her swollen face, she screams in pure disbelief at him. Gavin coldly states she accused him of hitting her, so he is making it true. He mercilessly beats her while onlookers just stare. As the brutal beating continues, the woman begs over and over to stop. Gavin just smirks. He is not stopping just because she asked. Bruised and swollen, she screams for help, wailing her face is ruined. The men start shouting about intentional assault. They urge the whole crowd to attack Gavin together. Trust me, you will want to see what is next. Someone grabs Gavin from behind. You and I are gonna love this. Gavin decides to just bully the man instead. Boom, one powerful kick sends him flying backwards. He completely pummels the guy, leaving him a total bloodied mess. The The watching villagers freeze in pure terror at his absolute brutality. The beaten guy cries out, admits his mistakes, and begs for mercy. Gavin coldly says they brought this on themselves. Then he orders the whole crowd to scram. Running away, the villagers loudly curse Gavin for being totally heartless while they starve to death. Later in the neighborhood group chat, everyone whines that Gavin is hoarding supplies and refusing to share his snowmobiles. Reading this at home, Gavin just scoffs. Are his neighbors actually insane? He bluntly replies to the chat asking if he owes them anything. The group freaks out immediately, crying that Gavin literally does not care if they live or die. Gavin just laughs. He is not their dad, so their survival is definitely not his problem. Somewhere else, a furious resident suggests kicking Gavin out and splitting his massive stockpile among themselves. Gavin remembers how in his past life these shameless losers caused him endless headaches. Now here is where things get interesting. Watch closely. He plans to teach them a harsh lesson. Suddenly his phone rings with an unknown number. He answers it. A super menacing voice confirms he is talking to Gavin. The caller demands to know if Gavin recognizes him. Nope, not at all. The guy proudly declares he is Lee Santian from Mang Village, expecting Gavin to be terrified. Gavin mocks him, saying he is mostly surprised the caller is such a massive idiot. Lee absolutely explodes, demanding he repeat that insult. Gavin tells him to stop acting tough in front of Grandpa Gavin and get to the point. Lee grudgingly praises his sheer guts for actually killing his men. Gavin jokes about the compliment, but Lee roars that he killed his crew and is basically a dead man walking. Now Gavin gets furious. He shouts that Lee murdered his friend's parents and vows absolute revenge. Lee demands his exact location. Gavin drops it. Hu family village up north. Lee swears he will show up, make Gavin kneel, and call him Grandpa. Gavin just smirks at his phone. If Lee does not actually show up, then sure, he will gladly be his grandson. Back at the gym, Lee angrily summons his men. He orders a crew to hit the village. Bring weapons. Oh yeah, Lee says to bring heavy weapons and extra guys since Gavin's team is packing guns. Back at the house, Gavin tells Yananiel they are leaving. Going where Gavin says they are raiding Lee's den, the duo hops on snowmobiles and speeds straight toward the city. On the way, Gavin points out a building confirming with Yananiel that it was a police station. Yananiel says it was a major hub. Gavin instantly decides they need to stop and loot some weapons. Arriving at the entrance, they get ready to breach. Gavin just casually shatters the glass door with a kick. Inside is chilling. Frozen corpses of officers who died right at their posts when the apocalypse suddenly hit. Gavin notes it all happened way too fast for the government. Soon, they find the armory vault door. Yananiel pulls hard, but it is totally locked. Gavin tells him to step aside and readies his gun. Bam! Gavin blasts the lock. The heavy doors swing wide open, revealing absolute mountains of guns and ammo. You saw that too, right? Yananiel shouts that they just hit the absolute weapon jackpot. Sniper rifles everywhere, definitely the right stop. Then Yananiel spots a huge crate fully loaded with heavy explosives. Gavin grins, knowing those will come in handy. He orders Yananiel to grab every single one. Tossing everything into his dimensional space, Gavin announces the place is totally wiped clean. Time to bail. Right as they leave, Yananiel whispers a warning. Footsteps. Gavin realizes other survivors came hunting for weapons too. A shady group of armed thugs rolls up, loudly declaring that this is their lucky spot. But a guy named Brother Hao gets bad news. Somebody is already inside the building. Hao spots Gavin's duo and realizes they got beat to the punch. Another thug runs up, confirming the armory is totally empty. Brother Hao steps right up, asking Gavin directly if they took the guns. Gavin acts totally innocent. Do they look armed to you? Hao admits they look clean but demands to search them anyway. Gavin flat out refuses. Nobody is searching him today. Hao brags about running a local gym, offering to let them walk if they are unarmed. But Gavin just rejects him again. Here's what you and I know by now, never test Gavin. A thug threatens him, so Gavin lands a sudden kick, floors the guy, and tells him to scram. Let's dive into this wild manhwa, starting with Brother Hao ordering his goons to literally roast Gavin. The thugs charge at Gavin and Yananiel. But Gavin, he just whips out a handgun, sighing that he's been way too nice. Instant panic mode. The attackers scream that he cheated. Gavin just aims the piece, ready to give them a one-way ticket to the afterlife. One guy desperately begs to just talk it out. Bang! Gavin flat out shoots him dead with zero hesitation. He announces his nice guy era is officially over. The surviving thugs completely freak out he actually caught a body. Pop! Gavin instantly drops a second guy. Dead. Absolutely terrified, the rest scream that this kid is insane and scramble away. Gavin casually snipes two more mid-sprint. Brother Hao drops to his knees, crying for mercy and admitting he messed up. Gavin just stares, calling him a total idiot. Boom. Right in the head. Walking past the fresh corpses, Gavin turns to Yananiel and says it's time to roll out. Meanwhile, Lee Santian's gang is tearing across the snow on snowmobiles toward Hu family village, swearing to wipe out absolutely everyone. A goon asks if they should spare the women. Lee replies they can take who they want but execute them after. Mang Village definitely doesn't support freeloaders. The other riders crack up, saying they know the drill, totally hyped to go massacre the whole village. Lee shouts to hit the gas. He guesses they are still a few hours out from their target. Watching that exact raiding party leave, Gavin scopes out their massive snowmobile fleet. A head-on fight, too risky. But with all the heavy hitters gone, Gavin and Yananiel pivot time to sneak into Mang Village and wreck Lee's base. Watch closely here. They hit the main gate, but that thing is totally sealed shut and heavily armored. Gavin just flashes a wicked grin. Easy fix thanks to their newly acquired dynamite. Up on the wall, clueless guards are keeping watch. Suddenly, they spot a pilotless snowmobile zooming straight at the gate, completely confused. The guys scratch their heads at the ghost ride, guessing there has to be some kind of cargo on board. Yep, a massive pile of rigged dynamite strapped to the seat. The guards finally spot the payload and completely freak out, screaming about explosives. But it's too late. The vehicle detonates, totally obliterating the massive front gate. Bodies go flying everywhere. The surviving guards scream, demanding to know who is crazy enough to attack Mang Village. Cue Gavin and Yananiel casually blasting through the smoking crater on their rides. The surviving guards actually recognize the kids and yell to shoot, but Gavin is already one step ahead, raising his handgun mid-drive. Bam bam, double headshot. The guards tumble off the ruins as our duo speeds right into the heart of the base. Inside the walls, armed goons scramble to intercept the break-in, shouting and cocking their weapons. Gavin plays it like a drive-by arcade game, dropping guards effortlessly. One lucky survivor screams to warn the big boss. Not happening. Gavin puts a bullet in his leg, flooring him instantly. The bleeding guy cries, swearing he is just a normal civilian, desperately begging for his life. Gavin ignores the acting, shoves the gun right in his face, and demands the exact location of Lee Santion's main supply stash. Sweating bullets, the guard shakily points toward the massive supply warehouse. Thanks for the tip, Gavin instantly executes him. Then the duo kicks open the doors to a warehouse absolutely stuffed with loot. You and I are probably thinking the same thing. That's a lot of stolen food, Gavin smirks, claiming it all as his. With a flex of his magic storage skill, he vacuums up every crate. Warehouse totally empty, they hit the gas and bounce. Yananiel is literally dying of laughter, picturing Lee's face when he finds out. Gavin stays ice cold. This is just phase 1 of his master plan to completely cripple the village and destroy Lee. Cut back to Lee's squad, finally pulling up to the buried village. The goons are super confused, asking how Gavin could survive here. Staring at the total ghost town, Lee furiously realizes he got completely played by a kid. Suddenly, Lee's phone rings. He picks it up and his face instantly drops in pure shock. In full panic mode, he rips his snowmobile across a frozen lake, screaming to fall back right now. He hits the lake only to find a massive shattered hole in the ice. He just stares at the destruction brain, completely short-circuiting at the damage. His blood boils. He screams out, swearing he is going to make this brat suffer a very painful death. He barks at his crew to hunt the kids down. They have exactly 3 days to find their base. Meanwhile, back at Gavin's cozy rich kid house, he is literally just chilling on the sofa, reading a desperate text from Sharon, wanting a neighborly meetup. We see the screen. Sharon's long message, and Gavin's brutal one-liner response, "No time for you." Makes you think, right? He just casually plots his next move. Alright, stick with me. We are starting an absolutely wild winter apocalypse. Gavin's chubby buddy checks the security monitor showing Sharon and Jolene. Outside, Sharon cheerfully begs Gavin to open up. Gavin swings the door open. He looks completely annoyed, demanding to know why they even showed up. Sharon stammers, nervously claiming she and Jolene just came to visit. But Gavin coldly asks if they are done staring, completely startling the two girls. He tells them to get lost since they finished looking. Sharon immediately panics, screaming at him to wait. She plays the pity card, arguing that classmates and close neighbors really need to help each other out. Gavin just smirks. What help could they possibly offer? Blushing hard, Sharon desperately suggests that she and Jolene will follow any instruction, heavily implying total submission. Gavin actually agrees, declaring himself their absolute master and bluntly stating they will be his dogs. Crazy enough, they do not protest. The girls giggle, praising his bossy attitude, just wanting inside, away from the freezing cold. But Gavin slams the brakes. Access denied. He orders them out of the neighborhood to fetch him food. Now pay attention here. When Sharon hesitates, Gavin coldly reminds them that loyal dogs must obey every command from their self-proclaimed master. Jolene starts panicking. With snow, this heavy going beyond the neighborhood means they might actually freeze to death. Smack Gavin slaps Jolene hard across the face furiously, asking if she really dares to defy his order. Jolene clutches her stinging cheek, completely shocked. Sharon frantically pleads with Gavin, swearing he must be joking because realistically, finding food outside is impossible. Gavin answers by slapping Sharon too. He shouts that he is dead serious, screaming at them to move. Holding her red face, Sharon stares in total disbelief, asking if he actually expects this. Gavin ruthlessly mocks them as worthless trash. If they cannot even scavenge food, they are simply not qualified to be his dogs. Totally humiliated but out of options, Sharon grumbles, telling Jolene they have to carry out his insane demand. You and I saw this coming, right? Walking away, they complain they would never seek Gavin's help if they could find their own supplies, realizing they completely underestimated him. Jolene anxiously asks what their next move is. Hunter is totally out of food back home and will not last much longer. Sharon insists they still desperately need Hunter to protect them, deciding they have to crawl back to him first. Back at Hunter's freezing place, he furiously demands to know exactly where the two girls went. Sharon explains they tracked down Gavin, which totally surprises Hunter. Then she spins a massive lie, claiming they bravely confronted Gavin just to avenge Hunter's injuries. Hunter tenses up intensely, demanding what Gavin said to them. Sharon claims Gavin was insanely arrogant, refused any compensation, and literally slapped both of them. Jolene tearfully piles on the lies, calling Gavin an absolute monster. She claims they barely escaped before he could assault them, begging Hunter to defend them. Absolutely outraged, Hunter vows revenge. Since he and Gavin are already mortal enemies, he swears he will definitely kill him. He rallies his men while one follower asks their destination. Trust me, you will want to see this.